I don't have excuses. I have explanations and reasons why I made decisions, but they're not, they don't excuse what I was doing. My stuff is my stuff, and I've owned it to the court. I've owned it to the public. I have no intention of hiding from it or running from it. I had drugs at a really bad time when my house got raided, and that was because of bad decisions that I made to use a bunch of substances while being on a live stream. I actually got quite good results for what I was facing. I received 5 years of probation, which is the maximum amount that can be given out for my charge. I actually think 5 years of probation is insane. That's what happens when they sentence with a fucking hammer. The child charges were unsustainable, and so were the gun charges. People talk about how much it was. It's really, it's not that much. 19 grams is about the size of a ping pong ball. I don't inherently regret my choices. I regret what my choices produced, but I can't say I regret doing fun things when there were no consequences. This is the penance for the sin. But had it never produced the negative result, I wouldn't have been sorry. And I won't be doing it again because I don't want to go to prison. I'm not going to bullshit you. I made a lot of decisions that were really fucking fun. And I had a great time doing a lot of it. You find out that like the DARE program has completely propagandized. And so you start to go, oh, okay, no, this is actually fine. Like I didn't want to be sober. I have to be and will. I abused substances, I guess, but I just liked them. They were fun. I know if I go out to a club now or go out to a bar now, I could go out to them sober, but I would not be having the fun that my brain thinks it should have. And that reward system's killed. The drugs and alcohol are easy to not do. Like I had a bunch of drugs. I thought drugs were awesome. I still do. That's why people do them. Drugs are awesome. People wouldn't do them if they weren't. They're illegal. And that legality has really fucking dangerous consequences. People do drugs because drugs are awesome. And the awesomeness of them outweighs the risk.
This is the thing. Like everyone knows this. Money and opportunity eliminate moral boundary.
The state said in my case, there are no victims here.
This thing, the only victim of anything I did is me. And
I put my family through living hell. That after 5 months of drinking, I was off restrictions. One of the first things that I did, I was so excited. I had bottles of my favorite whiskey. I have been sober since early June. There was a brief period of time, November to April, I was able to partake in an alcoholic beverage. What did I do to merit the government controlling my life to this degree? When you are under the thumb of government, you are not prepared for it. They will violate the rules of evidence. They will violate the rules of civil procedure. They will violate the rules of juvenile procedure. So one side gets to say whatever they want, and they can lie. They can fabricate details. When the state is ready to, they will lie about you. This is a fact. What I've learned is that line that the government put in their complaint was a lie. And by the way, the state worker tried to lie to us. Maybe it's because cops lie a lot of the time. And it involves a government agent lying to the court because you're about to hear a lie from Miss Pierce. The detective, Officer Pomplin, lied.
To then have a government come in and be like, you guys must be terrible because some retards lied about you.
But I was treated with an uncharacteristic hostility from the detective. Par for the course in how this county has treated my case, which is with no regard to the actual law regarding documents. They have overtly violated the law several times. There's one drug testing facility in this county. Challenging results from that drug testing facility is nigh impossible. A judge ruling against it puts every single drug case in the county in jeopardy because all of it comes with a government gun barrel pointing at that person for the entire time. Our children, one of our children was reporting inappropriate behavior by someone who was around and associated with the county government. The people who made the reports, I know exactly who all of them are. Every single story that was reported as part of that initial report, they're all based on truth and they're all knowing lies. Ben Frill says, next time, hire a better nanny. Oh my God, by the way. My kids have started telling me the stories, and I'm not going to share any now, of our prior nanny. And I mean, holy shit. Because we have the officers touching my daughter's hair. I'll show you the studies as to how cocaine gets into hair. Cocaine specifically. There was some shady stuff about the warrant. And this is the retarded speculation that's been going on this entire time. That I am somehow disrespectful or causing some sort of trouble.
Well, I gave a statement willingly because I wanted to call the cop a pussy a whole bunch. Sorry, I'm kind of an asshole.
You did call the pussy.
Yeah.
What did I do to merit the government controlling my life to this degree? There are some sad, pathetic people who can't realize their own inadequacy. And when that inadequacy manifests and their life suffers consequences because their inability to be introspective, their unwillingness to self-examine or accept criticism or even self-critique, they rewrite their own history. They make up stories. They come up with a timeline and a set of facts that doesn't exist to justify their own failures. No matter how many times those failures were pointed out to them in friendly ways, they just can't do it. Someone else did it to them because it certainly couldn't be their own fault.
How's it going, everyone? That was another fantastic clip from Third World Aristocrat. I'm actually really envious of his editing style. It makes me need to put my ass into gear. And we have a special announcement. There may be, during this live stream, a Minnesota public records drop, but we don't know. We don't know because as of right now, Baldo isn't streaming tonight. He's done the first 4 days of Karen Read. He's done 1 week of work. Oh, wait, there you go. The stream is coming out in 20 minutes. All right, very funny. You know what? I'll give Nick his dues. Having the ghost Bronca, that's pretty funny because Bronca has abandoned ship. He's gone to greener pastures. Sean said on a stream that Minnesota Public Records has 70 pages of documents ready to be released. Now, are they bluffing? Is it real? Is it going to be a big like whammy? Is it going to be nothing? Is it going to be more people's addresses? We don't know. But apparently we might find out in approximately 20 minutes. So how exciting. Be sure to like the stream. Now, where are we? As I said, we have... Actually, I should keep up his channel. The first week stream review audit, as you will. The Baldo Bros are back. They're doing victory laps. We've been felted. Oh no, the king of late night is back. Let's check it out. Well, we're going to look at the numbers today. And the funny, like life is so funny sometimes because if you just look, the funniest thing happened yesterday because I've been tracking the numbers. I've been doing all the calculations this week. And next grand return stream, 60,000 views and about $1,000 readers. That's pretty good. Except my boy, Uncivil Kurt did a stream yesterday, 55,000, like out of nowhere, just Kurt yelling and talking about Turtle Boy and Karen Read, 55,000 views and 4,000 live, which blows Nick out of the water. How embarrassing. Oh my goodness. Apparently the disloyal snakes with traitorous blood, it doesn't make a difference. And that's the thing. We got a big PP for you tonight, the PowerPoint presentation. And speaking of big, potentially criminal, the $10 says, I can confirm it's Sonny's veterinary records that Minnesota Public Records has revenue to. Oh my goodness, that would be too sad. Thank you very much for the first super chat, setting us off, which unleashes. The first super chat unleashes the ceiling cats. There we go. We've got the ceiling cats. Now, after tonight's stream, I might do a bit of Karen Read myself. We'll see. We'll see how we're feeling. We might drink some whiskey and do some non-practicing, non-lawyer stream coverage. I don't know. We'll have to see. If we hit the goal, maybe. But I'm very curious to see how Kurt does today on day 5 of the Karen Read trial. But anyway, if you haven't hit the like, hit the like. Now, Nick spent his first part of his, well, not so, but he spent a big portion of it. He spent a big portion of his live stream seething at the Law Tube Avenger panel, as they're being called. And we're going to be looking at these people today. These are all nobodies except for Good Logic, apparently, who's a loyal Joe. We'll see how loyal Joe's going. When I look at all of these numbers, actually, everyone will be looked at tonight. Well, and actually not MLS and not Pisco. I quite like MLS. He's the one with the treehouse, right? Pisco I don't like so much, but I haven't seen his release content. He's just like Destiny's Pet Law or something. And Podlucky with a 100 Czechoslovakian dollary dues, I think. Wait, is that right? It is saying Kurt being such a savage. Punished Kurt is the funniest arc that I think I've seen. I'm like totally invested in the Kurt content now. He's doing cooking streams. He's just making these 4K streams out of nowhere. It's fantastic. But anyway, let us, well, actually first, before we get into the PowerPoint, before we get into my big PP, Nick spent 50 minutes seething and coping at, well, I mean, everyone, but in particular, Uncivil Law, who read Megan Fox's letter. Kurt spent approximately a minute responding to Nick. So let's see Kurt's response when he was playing. It looks like Sage one that I haven't played. Is it a good game? All right, let's see Kurt's response to Nick. 50-minute seed session.
Call this community service simulator. You know, I'm just doing my community service in advance. That's how that works,
like
right?
that.
If you do the community service before you commit the crime, it like counts against future community service. Is that how that works? I hope it's how it works. Well, you see, Your Honor, I already did my community service, so we're good. On the plus side, you would get kind letters of recommendation. That is a fair point. You would get letters of recommendation.
True.
By
And
the
real.
way, just in case anyone's curious, I'm aware that Nick Rekieta apparently recorded a 50-minute video ranting at me. My response to anything Nick Rekieta says basically from now until the end of forever is that he is a felonious, adulterous, drug-using cuck.
Oh, no.
So I'm
Say it, Kurt.
pretty sure that I win every argument from here until the end of time.
That's true.
Yeah, I basically went off.
It's true. You can criticize Kurt however you want, but he is not a cuckold. And this is something that Nick has not admitted to himself or his audience yet. And his audience are currently seething. They think that, no, he stole the Toe's wife. He's based. He's based, bros. Well, ask yourself this. Remember Jack Murphy, Cuck Murphy? Do you remember when they dressed up in the beards? And they said they read the Cuck Murphy article. What was it? Tim from Tinder. And he's like, I'm so hot and horny because my girlfriend at the moment, she's out with Matt from Tinder, but she comes home to me. I'm not a cuckold. She comes home to me. Well, that's what happened with Kayla. She took those big toe loads raw day after day in the Coke shack. But Nick is not a cuckold, in his words, because, and this is really what he thinks. Like, if you're wondering why he is not admitting to being a cuck, he may as well just admit to it, right? You know, if he's at least take some pride in what you enjoy. The reason he thinks he's not a cuck and that he never cheated on his wife is that he was okay with it. That's cuckoldry. That's cuckoldry. That's breaking the sanctity of your marriage. When you get married, you don't say, like, you know, to each other and Aranim Holte. Okay, the toe smell never washes off. I'm sorry, it does not. No matter what you do, it'll always be another win from the toe. Oh my goodness. Well, let's listen to the rest of Kurt's rant because I'm getting really invested in the Kurt saga.
The arguments forever. So that's you know, that's good news for me. I didn't watch the video, but I did read the comments. And
He didn't even watch. He didn't even watch Nick's 50-minute C session. Just a 30 seconds. Nick's a cuck. But he had a bit of a chuckle at the comments, the based commenters.
List of clips, and the comments were overwhelmingly negative again.
He didn't even watch it on Nick's channel. He watched it on Alyssa Clips, which is the best place to watch any Baldo content because you don't have to sit through all of the garbage. She just clips that. She died for our sins. She's out there suffering, watching all the hours of Nick's content so that I can watch 3 minutes of an Interactor on stream and then somehow space it out for like 30 minutes with endless pauses. Like when I endlessly paused to talk to BobTube, who dropped $5 saying, Sean should do a stream with Jack Murphy, wear noses, and review Rekieta's downfall. That would actually be very funny. I don't think that Cuck Murphy has it in him to do it, but if that happened, that would be hilarious.
Rekieta and positive towards me. So basically, it seems like the consensus basically shares my view.
Yeah,
Basically,
Kurt, like if Kurt won. If you think that Kurt won, put Kurt W in the chat. If you think Nick won, you can put a Nick W in the chat. I know there's a couple of you out there. It's fine. You can go watch his show if you want to. That's fine with you.
Win all the arguments forever. So yeah, I'm good. I don't need to watch it. I don't care what he had to say. It doesn't matter. He's the adulterous, felonious, coke using, cock. So
say it,
know,
Kurt. It's
what do I
true.
care what he has to say beyond that? Good times.
Good times.
He knows how.
Like this man goes to Denny's once. He goes to Denny's. He orders the moon over my hammy, and then he just throws up a random stream on a Sunday, and suddenly 4K views just appear from. How can Kurt keep getting away with it, bros? He can't keep getting away with it. I'm gonna have to give up the streaming. Like Kurt's just won.
The toe taste. Well, I mean, he licked his ear. We know that for sure. So
that's true. That's true. That Nick literally knows how Aranim Holte tastes. He licked the ear live on stream.
Knowledge of ear taste. Maybe you meant something else.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff from Kurt. And we'll be checking in with Kurt later, perhaps. All right, let's take a look. Give me a second while I load up this stream. I'm having a bit of fun tonight. It's Monday night. It's really rainy, and it's getting humid over here. It's like the beginning of the rainy season or something. I don't know. All right, let's get into the PowerPoint presentation. Not a comeback, but a comeuppance. Actually cooked. Let's take a look at the real numbers, because to be fair, Nick did do better than I expected, but not by much. However, so let's take an actual look. The grand return to streaming, much anticipated after I think what was 8 months of basically no streams, with the exception of one. Let's see, the first stream back, 60,000 views. Not too shabby, not too shabby. This is after, of course. 3.2 live. I predicted 3.5. I thought he'd do a little bit better, but it makes sense that a return stream would do very well because people are curious. Not only the A-logs, but also the old audience. They want to see what's back, and it's particularly if they're the ones that have been seething. And every time Minnesota Public Records drops another bombshell, an embarrassment on Nick, those people, the true Baldo washers, they're still watching, right? They're waiting for their victory. They're waiting for their man to come out, and he came out. 3,200 live viewers, and they were declaring victory. Except when you think about it, this is his victory. Kurt just blew him away, son. Like this wasn't like this Kurt thing just happened yesterday, so I had to add it to my presentation. Well, not really. I'm just going to talk about it. Sorry, I got a bit of a cough still as well, but like this is his first stream back in basically a year, and he can't even get more live viewers than Kurt, a man who he criticized as disloyal, as traitorous. I made you, Kurt. I invented LawTube, but he can't get more than Kurt during a live show. Oh, but what about Rumble? What about he was on Rumble as well? Lol. Lamau even. Don't talk to me about Rumble. Rumble numbers aren't real. You know, when you see someone streaming on Twitter and it's a nobody and they've got like 1,000 live viewers, that's because it's the concurrent views and they pump the numbers up a bit. Now, are the Rumble numbers nothing? No. And sure, a portion of this is going to, if his income will come from Rumble, but it's a small portion. I'm not going to include it because I just don't give a shit about Rumble. I think it's a dying platform. You're free to disagree with me, but I think it's embarrassing. But he got $1,058 in super chats. That's pretty good for one stream. That's pretty good. Okay, let's see if that keeps up. We'll see if that keeps up. I think that the Baldo washers, they might have maxed out their credit card. Unfortunately, based on the numbers that I've been seeing. But you know what? A positive, give him a a W where a W is due. Nick looks healthier. He's gained weight. He's fat. I'm sorry. Now that Nick is off the coke, he's gaining the weight back. He's going to be chunkator again very soon. It is what it is. We're so back, Baldo bros. Let's begin. It's victory lap time. So we're going to have a brief intermission of our little thing because Boss Baby and Viva Fry have to tell you about how they were right and Rekieta has already won. This is true. Okay. So we're going to go. Oops. Hold on. I have to exit this. Let's listen. Let's get a break. Okay. Sorry. Let's get our. We'll put this on 1.25 speed, I think. All right. So This is from Alyssa Clips. Did I like the video? I'm going to like a video right now. It says, Viva and Barnes, we were right. Nick Rekieta's sentencing. And this is the funniest thing to me, is that all of the detractors basically got everything right. And the people that supported Nick got everything wrong. But they're the ones coming out now and saying that they were right all along. So let's take a look at the record. Let's see if Barnes, Better Call Barnes, was right. Let's take a look.
I know. Okay, so I know. I don't even know if it's a victory lap because
It's a victory lap, chat. It's a victory lap. Was Barnes right?
I haven't talked to you about this. We haven't said one word about it since the news broke this week, where Nate the lawyer tweeted out Rekieta is getting 30 days in a county jail or something. I
want to be clear. Nick did get 30 days. He was sentenced to 30 days. This like grammar cope is the stupidest thing that I've ever seen. Nick Rekieta was sentenced to 30 days of jail time. If he does the jail time or not, he was still sentenced to it. So this is true. This is accurate. And they're all trying to come back and say, well, actually, no, everybody understood what it meant the second it came out. Okay. This is the stupidest thing to argue about. And this is the only thing that they have to try and pretend that they were right.
Yeah, which was also wrong. I mean, God bless him, but he really couldn't get literally anything right when it came to the
so
I mean, I don't know how.
I think they got literally everything right. Well, that's not true, actually. Nick did so poorly, everyone was expecting 0 jail time. He got 30 days. Everyone was expecting like 0 jail time, 2 to 3 years, like probation and a fine. He got worse. He got worse. And we've got the charging document. We're going to go through this as well because I know some people have read it before. But there's some funny things we have to go through and see. We'll look at the sentencing document after the presentation. Wait. Here we are.
How it is you can't read a sentencing doc, but you know, it told me that, you know, whatever Nate says, his actual criminal defense experience must be just limited to New York or just really limited in general. Because I know how to read these things, and even though I don't practice in Minnesota.
No, if you actually go back to the C's stream where they're talking about it, they actually mentioned this immediately. Nobody was confused. And by the way, let's just take a look. So Nate, he is disloyal. Let's take a look at Nate. Nate the lawyer. Let's see how Nate the lawyer is doing, because all those traitors. So Nate just hit 600,000 live views. Let's go over to Nate's channel for a real quick check. Let's see, view channel stats. The last 30 days, Nate, let's see how poorly your traitors are doing. Let's see. 30 days. Is this not working? Come on now. Oh, there we go. 14 million views. Nate the lawyer in the last 30 days has had 14 million views. Well, I mean, maybe he just had a viral video or something, right? You know, maybe he's doing some shorts or something. Last 7 days, 4 million views. Holy shit. Oh my goodness. Nate bros, like his subs are over 9,000. What the fuck? What the fuck? Nate's killing it. Oh my goodness. Disloyal, traitorous blood, Nate.
Very often. And a lot of people got that wrong. The short answer is, so the first we'll talk about the early predictions as to what was happening.
Oh, the early predictions were.
The early predictions was no jail time and like 1 to 3 years or something and community service.
Past the threshold, 25 years in jail, losing wife.
No, nobody said that he was getting 25 years in jail. That was the maximum for his sentence. This is so disingenuous. Like you've got Salacious Crumb over here and Jabba the Hutt. And it's like, well, everybody was saying, and even his voice cracked. I mean, that happens to me all the time, so it doesn't matter. But nobody thought that Nick was going away for 25 years. Now, we said it would be very funny if he fucked up by talking and shit talking the judge, and he got that. Nobody thought that. Everybody said, name one lawyer or even non-lawyer channel that thought that Nick was going away from 25. Tell me their names.
Losing kids for a quarter century, like the rest of his life, he's gone. And people were loving it was a
there was Schadenfreude enjoyment.
Yep, there's nothing wrong with Schadenfreude. When bad things happen to bad people, it's funny, and Nick agrees with that. His entire channel is based on this. It started with Maddox, went to Russell Greer, went to Monica Rial. His entire career is Schadenfreude. Okay, that's all it is.
By a lot of these people who became obsessively hateful of Nick Rekieta.
Obsessively hateful.
And some did it for personal profit. Some did it because, treason is what runs in their blood.
Treason? What idea? What do you mean treason? Boss baby, what are you talking about here? Treason? This is so stupid. First of all, why do you have to be loyal to Nick? Okay, he's not actually the king. He's not actually the Pope. The Pope. No, okay, I shouldn't. I'll try and be nice. I'll try and be nice. If someone does something bad, you don't have to be loyal or friends to them. Okay. Now, if you stick by your friends in a hard time, I can respect that. And you know, some people that support Nick, I can respect their choice to do so. But if I see someone that's an absolute piece of shit, and I just stick with them because and I say that they're the best because they're my friend, that's not loyalty. That's just like weird, obsessive, like parasocial dynamics. You should change your opinion of people based on their actions. That's why you say people are judged by their actions. What is this? Well, Nick, he made you disloyal, traitorous blood. Oh my goodness. Let me taste that loyalty. Holy shit.
Yeah, they're just disloyal by nature. Some did it
Disloyal
because
by
they're
nature.
utterly
What does he mean by
incompetent
that?
And not capable of analyzing the law from a practical experience.
Barnes has been kicked off of basically every high-profile case he was in. He took $5,000 for the Kiwi Farms. It basically just showed up, and the judge said he didn't need to be there. He got kicked off the Wesley Snipes case. Is it Wesley Snipes? He got kicked off the Rittenhouse case. What was it? The Covington kids. He got kicked off of that case. He's just like literally an ambulance chaser of a lawyer. He's the Swedish mercenary. Oh my gosh.
And then others just got caught up in the parade. So the allegations, early allegations, Nick Rekieta was like he was some sort of huge drug addict and drug
Yes, Nick Rekieta did a lot of drugs and he was an addict. That is correct.
user, and his kids were using drugs. And everybody's using, all the
There has been no explanation for the test yet. Nick has not supplied a reasonable answer for that yet.
crazy allegations.
They're not crazy. They're literally factual. They're in court records.
Rekieta's running a cult. I mean. And we probably took more heat for just going through what the law is concerning Nick Rekieta, defending Nick Rekieta, than probably anything else.
No, you got heat because your takes were stupid. Okay, that's why you got heat, because you were taking an oppositional position just because he's your friend. The logic part of your brain backfired, and you said we got to defend our boy, and people don't respect that. They want to hear your legal opinion. Okay. If you want to defend him privately, fine. But don't pretend professionally that he was like. Barnes said that Nick had already won, that the warrant was going to be thrown out. It was unconstitutional. There was no, he literally said Nick Rekieta has already won. Well, guess what? He got worse than everyone was expecting.
I mean, even then outing,
remember, Robert,
Sidney Powell's weaknesses with her case and the Kraken, or outing how nuts Lynn Wood was becoming and Linsanity and so forth.
I think everybody does need to recall in the early stages, it was child neglect. Then there was the cocaine.
He did neglect his children. That's just obvious. He had to have steel toe Aaron make them SpaghettiOs because they were hungry, because Nick was too coked out. That is abuse. That is neglect.
Found in the kids' hairs. There was drugs and guns. There was the swinging stuff. I don't get into anybody else's familial life in that regard, but it was everything. It was, how can you defend this child abusing, drug
people
abusing?
Create fake images of me as Breaking Bad, telling people.
I don't think that they made him. I don't think this is like some stolen valor. I think the Breaking Baldo meme was funny, and there's nothing wrong with making a meme, but I'm pretty sure the Breaking Baldo meme was always Nick and Kayla. I don't know if I ever saw Barnes as Breaking Bad. I think that's like stolen meme valor that he's doing right here.
How to get your kids hooked on cocaine. I got more smears, slurs, attacks. People would brigade into communities. If I was just doing any interview anywhere about Rekieta, they'd come bashing in, hate, all this hate over a case they didn't know, over a person they didn't know.
Okay. Nick doesn't know Johnny Depp. Nick doesn't know. Well, I mean, Nick did talk to Rittenhouse after the fact, so that he does know Rittenhouse now, I suppose. These people's entire careers is talking about people they don't know. All of LawTube is talking about people you don't know. Okay, that's all LawTube is. It's gossip with a legal flavoring. That's what it is, and that's fine. People love it. People enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with it. But don't criticize other people for what you're doing yourself. That's called hypocrisy.
And especially, I got a kick out of people who are somehow personally impacted. Like, how are you personally impacted? So whether, because Nick isn't able to do his show at the.
This is another stupid argument that I've been hearing people make, is that like, well, how does this affect you? Like, what if there was like, okay, so the cannibal down the road is eating other people's children. How does that affect you? Your children aren't being eaten. He's just doing his own thing. How does this affect you personally? Oh my goodness. How parasocial of you to be upset about a man that lied about everything and literally grifted for years. And it was all a house of lies. But how does this affect you personally? How dare you have an opinion about something? Meanwhile, our entire job is giving our opinion on the internet for money. Interesting.
Moment. I mean, come on. What I said was that, knowing Nick Rekieta, not knowing him great, but knowing him well enough, that most of the allegations, the scandalous allegations against him, are likely untrue. That people should.
No, Barnes' opinion was that Nick Rekieta had already won. And also, do you hear the nervousness in his voice? You know that Boogie edit where Boogie is going, I'm in so much pain, I'm in so much pain, I'm in so much, he kind of sounds like that to me. The Boogie trapped in the Tesseract as a gnome for 10,000 years. That's kind of what Barnes sounds like. He's seems like he's coping and seething and backsliding right now.
Should not rush to judgment of the case or the individual. That all kinds of people make mistakes. Nobody wants their personal life broadcast, to the whole world.
That's true. Nobody wants their personal life broadcast to the whole world. But Nick does that as a profession. In fact, when his channel was removed from YouTube, and by the way, when his channel was removed from YouTube, I was one of the people campaigning to get it back. Because back then, I was a big fan of Nick's. I watched a lot of his shows, most of them. But Nick, his channel was removed because he tried to dox 3 people that sent in ethics complaints. And those people were pieces of shit. Sending in those bogus ethics complaints, absolute pieces of shit. But Nick announced live on stream, and this is after he was talking about Keffels. This is after he talked to Duncan MacLeod. He literally had 3 ethics complaints. And he said, tonight on my show, I am going to dox these 3 people that gave their real names and their home addresses. But Nick, he hates dox. Well, as we learned later in tonight's show, Nick hates doxing and it should be illegal. Now that it affects him personally, he's very upset with this. But nobody wants their personal details out there. But that's literally your entire job.
Least of all the biggest mistakes they've ever made in their personal life. That's the principle of the Bible. Be careful what stones you throw.
Yeah, that's true.
Lest don't point out the little problem in somebody else's eye if you got a big stick.
Yeah, dear John, that's another good one.
Those are good common sense principles and precepts to adapt in life. Kind of like expect the best, plan for the worst. And Nick Rekieta did that. He did the Donald Trump strategy.
Did Nick plan for the worst and expect the best? I don't think so. I think all he thought was, "Woo, let's go." That's all he thought. And that's why drugs were out when the cops showed up in his house. Nick lied and said that he was the only person. And you know what? I will give Nick some credit for taking the rap for his mistress and his wife, I guess, as well. He doesn't really care, but he mostly took it for April's sake. We'll talk about her a little bit later in the show as well. But you know what? He did man up and take responsibility for those 3 people, but he lied to the cops. He said that the drugs always went with him in a little box. It was always locked and no one else had access to the key. Well, then how come the drugs were out and open when the cops showed up when you were outside of the house? Doesn't make sense. He lies in every other sentence.
Expect the best, plan for the worst.
Simping for the Constitution for a quarter century. I love that.
Exactly. Indeed. And so the way
Sounds like he's been simping for Nick's baldo for the last 25 months or something. I don't know.
in which you defend yourself in that kind of case, there's defending yourself in law and defending yourself in the court of public opinion. And defending yourself in law, the way you go about doing so in a drug case, is you figure out all the constitutional infirmities that may exist in the case. And I highlighted what those different constitutional infirmities are. Some people confuse that with me saying it was a magic bullet and all the case would be dismissed.
He literally said Nick Rekieta has already won. This is just revisionist history. How do they think they can get away with this? It's all online. You're not supposed to record your crimes online. Why do you recall yourself being a fuck up online and just contradicting your entire argument? It's so stupid. I can't believe this is so audacious. They may as well at least stand up for what they believe in. They could say Nick Rekieta should have won immediately. This was totally unconstitutional. This is an outrage. But no, they don't say that. They try and cope. They try and seethe, and they try and say that they're right all along when everyone else is wrong.
That isn't why you do it. You do it knowing that most lower courts are not willing to challenge the prosecutor police. But by documenting the seriousness and significance of those constitutional issues, it usually motivates the prosecutor and the police to consider a more reasonable plea negotiation terms. It's how almost all drug pleas get done. If you don't raise a search warrant or Fourth Amendment or constitutional issue,
Let's put this up. Let's bump this up to 1.25 speed. We're going to get back to the PP.
The way the case was prosecuted, you have very little leverage at getting a fair deal. Good logic to his credit. When he first got confused as to what I was saying, corrected that upon review. The second thing, as I said, the allegations about his kids were false. That there are easy ways to know they were false. That the allegations against him didn't make sense. The person that was making some of the people that were listed as making the allegations weren't in a position to make those allegations. There was obvious factual contradictions in the very original story.
And just
what were the factual contradictions in the original story? We don't know. We have no answer to the case on why the drug test came back like that. Hopefully, my hope is that it actually turns out that the hairs were like switched or something, but then they would have retested and Nick would have a clean drug test. He never petitioned his lawyer to ask for a second test. He always just says the government dropped it and didn't pursue it. Now that could happen for a number of reasons, literally anything. Maybe they fucked up somewhere along the road and they knew it wouldn't be admissible in court and they decided to just drop it. We don't know. Maybe they just forgave him. Maybe someone just liked him. We don't know. And Nick has not explained this in any reasonable way. And until he does, I don't see why anyone should give him the benefit of the doubt, since he lies about everything constantly. And I mean, it's Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is that there was coke all over the house. She was exposed in a secondary source. Nick tries to explain this by saying that the cop touched his kid with a glove on her head. And then he says that cocaine can metabolize outside of the body, and then the washing process forces the metabolites inside the hair. This is something that is not repeatable in any way in the laboratory, unless it's like boiling water. This is not what happened. Okay. He said, it's like sweat and stuff like that. No, that doesn't happen. The guy that he's quoting is literally just some guy he found on Quora when he searched in how could cocaine recipe turn in wrong. If you search for that right there, you'll find the guy that Nick quotes and tries to use this to explain it to his audience. But he only gives this dumb explanation on locals behind a paywall where only 60 people are watching. When he comes to online, when he goes to his big channel where he knows he's got criticism, he doesn't bring this up.
You'll understand then the first-hand account of the children smelling and wearing dirty clothes and complaining of being hungry was allegedly it was third party. It was like
it was like rumor by 6 degrees of separation and multiple years out of context.
So Nick, it's not rumors by 6 degrees of separation. Nick has come out and said that the reports were from Kayla's family. Okay, so the reports were from churchgoers who that was the initial report, right? Nick has said that that's inaccurate. He hasn't provided any evidence about that, but he has said that it's actually all from Kayla's family, and he's going to get a restraining order against one of Kayla's family members. So that's not 6 degrees of separation. That's 2 degrees of separation and first-hand accounts. Okay. Oh my goodness, it's just rumors on the internet. Oh wait, it's actually family members. Oh, whoops.
Context and a story that didn't even make sense on its own.
But plus also, kids are dirty and kids are hungry, especially when they don't eat the feed.
Well, Nick's kids were. That's why they asked for a change of clothes when the cops came up, busted down their door, and took them away because he was an irresponsible parent. Now, there's also some clips I've seen from Steel Toe Aaron, and he was looking. I think it was was it Gene Wilder? There was a guy that died around Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman died of something recently. I think it was that. And they have photos of inside his house after he died, and his house is like a pigsty. Aaron has said that Nick's house is worse than that. I have not seen inside of Nick's house. That we need the body cam to see that. But this is what Steel Toe Aaron is saying. If you trust him, you trust him. Some people do, some people don't.
That's the reality of the world. And there was no kids using drugs. Kids weren't around drugs. Any of that. If you understood how those hair tests work, you knew that was going to be bogus and be rebutted very quickly.
It hasn't been rebutted. It hasn't been explained. Nick's best explanation so far has been, like I said, the ones before. But he also says, and this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, why would you give drugs to kids? What? He's like, well, kids would be crazy on drugs. They would just be bouncing off the wall and shit. First of all, it sounds like you have first-hand experience. And second of all Nick did when he talked about going to events and going to things was talking about how he gave people drugs and gave people beer all the time. Like if you met Nick up at at Mar-a-Lago or at Road Rage or wherever, I think he literally gave cocaine to Viva Frey in Mar-a-Lago. All he talks about is how generous he was with his booze and his drugs, but he wouldn't waste them on a kid. I hope not. I mean, I'm still I don't want it to be true. I hope that it is a mistake. But if it was a mistake, why doesn't he have a clean test proving that is the case? Again, I've said this before, but these tests are allegedly accurate up until 90 days. He got his kids back after 77 days. The kids were always in the custody of his grandparents. Now, Sean has come out and said that their grandparents couldn't go and get the drug test by themselves. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. I'll defer to his opinion on that. Surely Nick could have gone with the grandparents who had the custody of the kids to get that drug test immediately. That's what I would have done if I was a parent, because I would want to know for myself. Okay. I would just, even if it came back clean and it just proved that I was right and the government did make a mistake, I would just want that for my own, for my own peace of mind. But second of all, he could have petitioned his lawyer to do so, but he didn't. He hired a expert to discredit the drug tests for thousands of dollars instead of just petitioning his lawyer to get a second drug test. Makes no fucking sense.
And so what I predicted was that many of the allegations against him were false, that he had good constitutional defenses.
He admitted guilty to basically everything. So they were basically all true.
And that if he leveraged them correctly, he would get a reasonable disposition and would not end up losing his kids, losing his wife, losing his family, losing his
your prediction was Nick Rekieta has already won
business, or losing his liberty. In fact,
he can't have guns. He's lost his American liberties to drink. He's lost his liberties to be a gun-toting yeehaw, bang, 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 bang. He can't do that on the 4th of July. He can't have a beer he can't have a glass of whiskey with his son on his son's 21st birthday because he's banned from drinking for 5 years. His kids will already be past that age by the time he comes off probation. Now, maybe he, with good behavior, can get it reduced. We'll see. But currently, his liberties have been taken away. It's another win for the Barnes. Better call Barnes. Oh, my gosh.
That's right.
This is C. This is code.
Trusting in Nick paid off.
Well,
sorry, I've got a bit of a cough still. Trusting in Nick has already paid off. We're going to see just how much trusting in Nick pays off financially tonight. As we review the numbers, after this clip.
I think Nick's made his mistakes. He's been public about those mistakes. I think he's been way too harshly attacked for those mistakes. There, but for the grace of God, go anybody. If you know anything about the nature of drugs or certain substances, that people get caught up in that all the time. I mean, every day people are out there eating ultra processed food and destroying their bodies a lot quicker than Nick ever did.
Do we remember the picture of Nick on the Coke stream? Wait, I got to bring this up. Hold on a second. Oh my goodness. And by the way, processed food is bad for you. Okay. Processed food is bad for you. But all right, this is a good thumbnail. We'll just look at this one. Okay. Look at this. All right, chat. Consider the options. Drugs, not as bad for you as Burger King. Look, I don't know. I've been eating Burger King for quite a few years. I'm a bit of a tubby boy myself. Burger King doesn't make me look like this. When I go get some K-fry, it doesn't make me look like this, okay? It doesn't make me want to poke open sores in my leg just to stay awake, just so I can feel something. I'm afraid Wendy's doesn't do that. Now, processed food is bad for you. It's not cocaine bad for you. Holy shit.
And so, let's be a little careful before we rush.
It is. I've never done cocaine in my life. Full stop. Period. I worked in the practice.
I press X to doubt on this, and if you're a member, by the way, joining as a member gives you access to these emojis. I'm going to press X to doubt on that one because Nick said he did cocaine in Mar-a-Lago bathroom, and Viva Fry was right there. So I doubt this very much. But maybe he's true. I'll take him. I guess I have no evidence. I very much press X to doubt on this one.
Of law, and the amount of adults who I would have never otherwise suspected who did it blew my freaking mind. The amount of adults who had sex with other people blew my freaking mind. The amount of raging alcoholics, people with serious life issues, blew my freaking mind. So it's not to absolve.
And I also separate that from people causing deliberate harm to people, physically assaulting people, attack, etc.
I think this is deliberate harm. I'm sorry. When you destroy your life to such an extent that you can't actually do your duties as a father, as a parent, I do think that's harming other people. And Nick has not taken responsibility for this at all.
Big difference between those two, in my view. And so, I mean, as the state prosecutor acknowledged at sentencing, what Rekieta did was harm himself. He didn't harm anyone else. They said there were no other victims. So he got his family.
No, Nick, the victims are his family. I think that liberty and freedom and the freedom to make your own poor choices is important. That is true. But when you become a parent, when you become a caregiver, when you become a provider, a sole provider, mind you, your perspective and your actions have to change. Okay? It's one, like if Nick was a single guy and he went on a massive coke spree, I wouldn't care. But this is different. He was getting drunk until 5, 6, 7 in the morning. He was staying up all night on coke, and then he was driving allegedly 100 miles a day, racing all over Minnesota to deliver his kids to the violin or piano, whatever. That is dangerous, and we know it's dangerous because he drove off the road with his child in the front seat of the Mustang. The first day he took it off the shop. They went through a fence. Now, nobody was hurt, and the car was okay too, which is a nice bonus. But he was absolutely putting people in danger. He put Aaron's children in danger when he dropped cocaine next to a 3-year-old until Aaron spotted it. He was absolutely putting people in danger. The fact that his kids are okay is a miracle.
Tally back. In fact, the case was closed in record time for that county. So that shows you how bogus and false all the accusations against him concerning his kids were.
See,
It was meant to go at because
This is so stupid, by the way. Like, these people are lawyers. They should know better. Like, nobody believes that OJ is a free and innocent man because he was cleared of the charges. I mean, it's a meme at this point. How much of a piece of shit OJ is and how he got away with everything. Just because people get away with it doesn't mean that they're innocent. Now, in the eyes of the law, they're innocent, sure. But that's not what we're talking about here. This is not a law show. I am not a lawyer. This was never a law channel, by the way. This is the court of public opinion. And in the court of public opinion, he's guilty.
he takes one of his greatest prides and all the ridiculous amount of stuff he does for his kids. I mean, literally goes to every sporting event, takes them at all these homeschooling events. I mean, he's more actively promoting his interest of his kids than anybody I know, to be honest. As someone who,
What does that mean? Of course, like, a parent is promoting his kids' activities more than anyone else. That's the way it's supposed to be. If I go to work and I show up at 9 a.m., I don't get a slap on the back and like, good job for doing what you're expected to do. That's the bare minimum. My goodness.
did homeschool kids for a year, 2 years. I know how incredibly difficult that is. Least of all, if I got like five of them, and I'm running around to literally every single event they do. And I'm even teaching other homeschool kids in the process while trying to run a full story business. Good luck with that combination. I think that he put himself under a little bit too much stress, I think. But it turned out those allegations were false.
He did. He did put himself under stress. He was stressed because he was popular, he was rich, he had a trust fund, and he had 2 girlfriends. It's so much stress. Oh my goodness. Feel bad for him as you go to your job working as a forklift driver or something. You should feel bad for him. He's got a lot of stress because he has to show up at like 9 o'clock and then stream while drinking whiskey while other lawyers come on his panel shows and do all the work. Yeah, I feel real bad for him. That's real stressful.
That here's been the outcome. The outcome is all charges against him, other than a 3rd-degree drug charge, have been dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the gun charges dismissed. All the charges concerning his kids dismissed. They wouldn't dismiss those charges unless there was not a factual basis to do so. No,
that's just not true. They can dismiss the charges for any number of reasons, and Barnes knows better than this. To say this is frankly insulting to his audience's intelligence.
Number 2, he is not serving any time. What he was given is what's called
Well, not yet. He could. He's got to be a good boy. He's got to get on his knees and pray and suck the probation officer. Because if he doesn't be a good boy, if he doesn't play by the rules, if he doesn't stream every day, the probation officer is going to say, you know what? 28 days in the jail, boy. As of this moment, Nick has to report on August 1st to jail. If he's a good boy, they can defer it. Now, if he breaks probation, I've heard it's 21 months, but I'm not sure about that. Scarebro, who's actually going to appear in my presentation later today, says kids are not excuse to have a full-time. What? Kids are an excuse to not have a full-time commuter job. He enables Kayla's uselessness to bolster it. True and real. Thank you very much.
A deferred sentence, a stayed sentence. It's known as diversion or deferment in most jurisdictions. They stay the adjudication is the way they do it. The mechanism they do so in Minnesota. What does that mean? It means in 5 years, let's say he complies with everything.
5 long years.
He's not even a felon. He doesn't lose gun rights, voting rights.
He's lost his gun rights for 5 fucking years. What if he needs to shoot a skunk or a family of raccoons? How's he going to do it? He's going to have to go back to the knife in the barn?
Any of it. He's not serving any time in jail. The jail is, if he doesn't comply with probation, then he can end up going to jail. That's not going to happen. He will not serve another day.
I don't know. Based on what I've seen, he's not having a good time. He doesn't enjoy trial streams. He never enjoyed trial streams. He said that as much. The only reason trial streams were fun is because he was making $22,000 a day on like his best days. He was spending all day drinking fine ass whiskey, and he does have good taste in whiskey. I'll give him props with props are due. And he would talk and joke with like 5 other people that were doing the work for him. That's why trial streams were fun. He literally said that he would rather be in the Twin Cities getting hand jobs than do trial streams. He said it was a fucking waste of time. You know who he said this to? He said this to Sean when Sean was his friend. He said this to Kurt when Kurt was his friend, because they were all there for him, cheering him along. But it's not so fun now, is it? Are you having fun now? Are you winning, son? I'm not sure. Captain Away with 5 says, Viva Barnes gunt guarded Jack Murphy, so defending Rekieta was no shock. Did he really? Oh my goodness. Embarrassing. How embarrassing.
In any prison. thanks to the smart way he went about approaching it, which is in the court of public opinion, people were demanding he say things that made no sense. Come out and confess. Come out and say everything you did wrong. Come out and say everything you did bad. That's ridiculous. You can't do that in the middle of a criminal case. And
No, people were demanding that he take some accountability for his actions, to show some sort of contrition, and to say that the things, like, to give a reasonable example why the tests weren't true. He didn't. He said, you know what? I'm going to tell everything once the course case is done. And now what does the story change to? Well, maybe I'm going to tell everything if Kayla lets me. I think what's going to happen, I predicted this earlier, and somebody already said that I was right about this, is that he's going to say that, like, well, I was going to tell you everything when the court case was done. The court case is done now, but I just want everything to be behind me. I just want to move forward. Okay. This isn't a drama channel. It's a law channel. It was always a law channel. Wink, wink.
And he properly prevented them from misusing and abusing. One of the things I highlighted was the governments now are routinely and regularly, and they're going to be doing it in more cases. They're going to be doing it in political cases, kind of like they did in the Benchoof case, like they're threatening to do in the state of Washington and Colorado to everybody. They don't use the right pronouns for their kids. They weaponize taking your kids away. And they love to do so while they bring a criminal case against you. Why? Because in order to defend yourself, to keep your kids, you have to give away your Fifth Amendment rights that puts you in prison forever under the criminal cases. He rightly demanded that they give him use immunity. You say you only care about my kids. I want to tell you the whole story, but I can't do so if it's going to be used against me in the criminal case. So they finally conceded. He didn't take the bait of disclosing. A lot of parents panic and give up their entire Fifth Amendment defense because they want their kids back. He made the right sound decision to require one for the other, to require use immunity in order to do that. And ultimately, when they investigated, he hadn't harmed his kids, period. That was all false. Bottom line is he harmed himself.
We don't actually have any evidence of that. I'm sorry. That's a conclusion you're coming to that you don't have any evidence for. The kids' reports were that they were getting fed by Aaron because they couldn't cook for themselves, despite what Nick said. The church people, who allegedly are actually the Kayla's family, we don't know. This is what Nick is saying. If he maybe he can release the names. He's got all the documents, apparently. They said that they were hungry. They said that they were smelly. They said they were wearing clothes for days on end. That sounds like neglect. When the cops showed up at the house, they asked for clean clothes before they left the house. No, maybe they were just in their pajamas. That's fine. That's fine. We don't know because we can't see the body cam just yet. But Josh is working on that. The Kiwi Farms is doing their best to get it. And I don't know. I think we're going to see it one day, one way or another. Nick could show it right now, and he could show how clean his house was. Right now, if he wants to, he has the body cam. Kayla could show the body cam. April could show the body cam. And we'll talk about that a bit later. But let's see.
Yes, he himself has publicly said, did drugs he wishes he hadn't done. That was for he's been clean and so.
No, this is false. Nick said that he did drugs he didn't wish he did. No, Nick said that he loved the drugs. We watched the first clip. He said he loved the drugs, and his only regret is he was caught. He has no remorse. Just other people. It's always other people's fault, okay? The government caught me. How could they?
Sober now ever since the arrest. How do you know that? Because he has to do testing 5 days out of the week. And so a lot of the accusations and allegations against him were false. A lot of people rushed to judgment. A lot of people rushed to hate him. And
that's not true, actually. Most people were supportive of Nick, and most people were sad and confused the first day. When the details started to come out about how he was being such a piece of shit, that's when people started to turn on him saying, hey, look, this is not good. This is not okay. And his friends said to him, look, Nick, you got to get help. Yellow flash in the DMs. Said, look, man, you got to change your life. Everyone, Kurt, Andrew, Sean, they were all reaching out to give him support. And what did he say? Fuck you and die if you don't believe me. If you're not loyal, if you don't want to kiss the Baldo, he literally told Yellow Flash, fuck you and die. That's what happened. And that's when people saw what a piece of shit he was being, when people saw that he had no remorse, and that if you didn't just swallow up his garbage, that you were disloyal, you had traitorous blood. That's when they turned on him. Okay? Everything he did is a result of his own actions.
People that abandoned constitutional liberty because they thought it was useful to do so in the name of grift baiting their way into getting followings online and cash support.
And by the way, Nick actually came out and said that he was okay with anyone grifting off his court case. But then when people did, he got really fucking mad. And if it was anybody else, he would absolutely talk about them.
In other cases, I think in like Nate's case, I think just wrong, just not.
Well, no,
he's got a lot of stuff wrong, but a lot of them were like.
No, Nate was pretty good on this, and he's succeeding. He's winning. He just passed 600,000 subscribers, and like what did I say, 40 million views or something in the last month. He's fucking killing it. Maybe 40 million was too much. I know he got 4 million in the last 7 days, so maybe 40 million. I'm pretty sure it's like over 10 though.
Way wrong, dead wrong, totally wrong, wholly wrong. And a lot of them personally attacked me repeatedly, sent people to brigade, various chats to attack me. I don't really care. I mean, these people were on the low end of the totem pole to begin with.
Yeah, you certainly don't care. That's why you've been talking about it for 13 minutes.
but they were miseducating the public about their rights, of the public about what is the right way to handle this situation. So Nick Rekieta is back. Apparently, he's going to be trying to live stream next week, part of the Karen Read trial. He's getting tried again. This is someone who never should have been tried in the first place, in my opinion. There isn't evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that she was guilty. There is evidence, in my view, beyond a reasonable doubt of cop corruption in those cases. But Nick is back, and he's back to being Nick. So
Yeah, I think
good luck to him. I'll be happy to hop on with him at some point. I think he's a good man who got railroaded. He made mistakes like every human being on the planet, and a lot of people treated him too harshly, rushed to judgment.
Everybody makes mistakes. Okay, everybody makes mistakes. Most people don't make the mistake of whoring out your wife to some guy with a radio show in Minnesota and then getting caught with 26 grams of cocaine and dirty children and hungry children. Most people don't make that mistake. Sometimes I leave my wallet when I go out the house. It's not quite the same as letting the toe bang my wife raw. Okay, there's not exactly, these aren't quite equivalent mistakes in life. So yeah, I will agree that mistakes can be made, but buddy, that's a mistake that the toe smell just never washes off. It just doesn't wash off.
Made up facts about the law to demonize them and line in their own pockets, and they should be ashamed. And for those that want to write an apology, once again, always send the apologies courtesy of Viva Frag.
I was gonna say, Nate said he's jail time damn because he was retweeting Kiwi Farms. Even if you went into Kiwi Farms, like I showed you guys there, it said 30-day, deferral if he complies.
There was a typo on this, and Nick himself was confused about this. He actually, this is so funny, and I don't have the clips lined up for this, but Nick thought he did so badly in this case. It's actually amazing that the prosecution was so generous to him, because even though he got the worst deal possible, they could have actually given him jail time if they wanted to, because his lawyers were so incompetent and he was so brain dead and what's the phrase? Cheese brained or whatever, that when he read his plea agreement, when he signed it and admitted he was guilty, he didn't notice that there was no jail time in the plea agreement. That was omitted because they forgot to add it. And the prosecution could have then, at that point, sneakily snuck in that jail time, and Nick would have already pled guilty to it. He incriminated himself. But yeah, wet brain. But when he said, actually, Your Honor, we made an agreement. We actually did make an agreement. I just imagined it was in there. He literally said that he read it and he thought it was in there. It happened in his imagination. It was real. But he said, you know what? I only pled guilty because I was going to have this in, but it's not in the document. And they were like, you know what? Actually, this is true. We're going to honor onto this agreement. It was a verbal agreement, whatever. So he should be thanking his fucking lucky stars that they weren't like pieces of shit trying to get him like he said they were. Like there was this big conspiracy theory. Because if they wanted to, they could have taken him fucking anywhere, because he's so stupid and his lawyers are so incompetent. He had to shop around to get one lawyer that would actually go along with his inane filings and crap.
Stick my head in a vice before I ever, some of the Kiwi Farms people I represented in the past, as a favor to Nick, did it for dirt cheap. Got him.
He did it for $5,000 and he showed up for about 20 minutes. And then the judge told him he didn't need to be there that day. This is posted on the farms. He likes to sing his praises like, well, I just helped the Kiwi Farms as a generous gift of my own for $5,000 for 20 minutes work. And the judge said I didn't even have to be there today. And I watched it, by the way, and it's not that entertaining, but it's kind of embarrassing. The judge kind of just tells him to settle down. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Out of a difficult situation for ridiculous low cost, at which all they did is complain later when I was defending Nick Rekieta's constitutional rights and interests and discouraging a rush to judgment against him. I'll tell Nick, one of the worst clients I ever had was one I did as a favor to Nick.
Well, someone said, everybody gets things wrong. Everybody gets things right. Everybody makes mistakes, but
I don't mind mistakes. But if you're going to go out there and do things that miseducate people about their constitutional rights, that's when I take personal.
But everyone thought it was fair game to jump on Nick that way because he had done it to other people in non-legal context prior, where he made some good content out of destroying people. Which I think
going at him personally to a certain degree, understand, but they were miseducating people about the law.
Well,
they were.
What did they? Which lawyer in particular miseducated them about the law? Basically, everyone said, like I said, that he was going to get no jail time and like 1 to 3 years probation. He got a little bit worse. That was the only shock. That's the only thing they got wrong, is that he got a worse deal. In fact, he got the maximum on the pre-sentencing investigation report. He got the maximum. They pleaded for less, and they're like, you know what? Let's just give him the maximum.
Saying things about the Fourth Amendment, they were completely wrong. They were saying things about the Fifth Amendment, they were completely wrong. They were saying things about the Sixth Amendment, they were completely wrong. They were saying things about state Minnesota law, they were completely wrong.
Nick Rekieta has already won. The warrant is going to be thrown out.
They're saying things about how you handle the criminal. I mean, these idiots were like, prostrate yourself, go public and confess all of every bad act you did. That would have guaranteed him years in prison and he would have lost his family. These are people I would never hire as any kind of lawyer. You got that, Jabba the Hutt, lookalike there.
This is a very bold argument for somebody to make when he literally looks like Jabba the Hutt, and this guy's always laughing on the back like Salacious Crumb. Like, he's laughing right now. Like, if there is one duo that is Salacious Crumb and Jabba the Hutt, it's Viva and Barnes.
Potentially criminal. His legal advice is potentially criminal.
He's fat.
I mean, this was legal malpractice. Some of the idiocy that was out there concerning Nick Rekieta. I'm glad because I think he's a good guy trying to do good work.
No, like, Sean is an actual criminal defense lawyer, so he knows what he's talking about.
Whatever his mistakes may be along the way. So I'm glad to see him back on his feet and going. I'm glad because I like the Constitution to be affirmed and upheld in this country. And
All right. There we go. That's the first C clip. All right, let's go back to the presentation. Where were we? I hope you guys enjoyed that. Are you winning, son? All right, let's begin. Where were we? Victory laps, right? All right. Getting back into the victory lap. Nick Rekieta has already won. All right. Thank you very much, Boss Baby. We'll check in with you next time that you're wrong about something else. What else we got here? This is a fun one. This is a really fun one. So Lord Triton posted, I don't know who that is. He says, so Andy Warski and PPP both said RekietaLaw won't have a streaming career and that he's finished. But his first stream back and he gets more numbers than the Kino Casino botted streams. Kino Casino felted, screenshot credit, Grifty IRL. And he links the thing with Rumble numbers. First of all, Rumble, I don't believe 1,000 people are watching on Rumble, but okay. And then 3,200. So this is the peak. 3,200. I predicted 35, so he actually performed under what I was expecting. Unfortunately, at the very moment he tweeted this, or at least the moment that I saw it, I checked on the stream charts what the Kino Casino actually had. And they had 48,033. Now, even if we believe the Rumble numbers, if we believe that every Rumble number is correct, unfortunately, 4,200 is lower than 4,833. So actually, this is just purely made up. I don't know what they're thinking when they post these things, but it is what it is. But, you know, fair is fair. 3,200 is quite a lot. Unfortunately, his numbers are going down day by day. Let's compare. So this is the first 7 days. Let's have an actual look. I'll go take off the cats until this presentation's done because it's going to hide some of the things. There we go. How do you think chat did? Like, have a guess. How good do you think it's going? Is it great? Is it bad? Is it terrible? How do you think Nick's doing in his first 7 days back? Okay, this is the return of the king. RekietaLaw, the king of late night. Let's see how he did in comparison to some other people. Let's see. Wrong window. Nick Rekieta in his first 7 days back got 187,000 views, 901 as well. Okay, and some change. Now you might be asking yourself, why is the number down here? What is all this empty space? Well, let's take a look, shall we, at the real numbers. Law and Crime over the last 7 days, 20 million views. Okay, well, yeah, but Law and Crime, they're like a big channel aggregate. That doesn't count. That's just like some big, like they just restream trial. That's not fair. Okay, that's not fair. But apparently the court case coverage with no commentary is more interesting than adding a court commentary. So it makes you think. Nate the lawyer over the last 7 days. So actually, did Nate get more viewers? He got another, like, since I made this presentation, he got another 500,000 viewers. Hold on, I got to check this. I got to have a look at this. I got to check this. Is this actually true? Did Nate get another 500,000 views when I wasn't paying attention? Oh my goodness, Nate, you dirty dog. Let's take a look. Views, channel stats, Nate the lawyer, 7 days. He did. Since I made this, Nate has gained an additional 400,000 views, which means that in the time it took me to finish this PowerPoint presentation, Nate gained twice as many views as Nick did in his first 7 days back. Oh my goodness. But Nate is just, he's disloyal, disingenuous, traitorous blood. He's nothing without the King Baldo. Okay, but there, you know, Nate does all sorts of stuff. He's like, he most doesn't restream that much. He just puts out videos. That doesn't count. Emily D. Baker. People get mad when I say D. Baker, but that's how I say D. So Emily D. Baker, 1.2 million views in the last 7 days. That's a big chunk of change. Legal mindset, 1.1 million views last 7 days. And he does stream. And you know what? I think that Legal Mindset is actually streaming right now. He currently has 7,600 people watching him, which is unfortunately more than twice as many as Nick's grand return, which will be his biggest stream. All right, let's see who else we got here. Branca. Law of self-defense. I like Bronca. He's already jumped ship, by the way. He's abandoned Nick in the Karen Read trial, but he has got almost 1 million views over the last 7 days. That's fantastic. He's doing some really good videos, actually. To be honest, I think that Bronca is doing much better as like producing videos than live streaming, and he should probably not give up, but he should focus his energy where it's more productive. And I think if he just spends the time he does live streams on videos, he'll do much better financially, but it's up to him. Maybe he just enjoys it. Let's see. So Melanie Little. Now, this is a character you may not have seen before, but she's absolutely crushing it. On my research for this, her first day of Karen Read, she had, I think, something in the range of like, I want to say 8,000 live viewers. And she had, on the first day of the trial, 166,000 views compared to Nick's, well, we're going to see later on. I don't want to spoil it. Burkhart, Andrea Burkhart, another person is doing absolutely phenomenal. Gained 286,000 in the last 7 days. And under Rekieta, we got Kurt. Oh my goodness, Kurt. Now Kurt's catching up. If Kurt puts out one more stream with the 50K views, he's actually going to eclipse Nick, which would be very interesting. But Kurt got 136,000 views. And Joe, good logic, got 30,000 views. So it seems like there's really no correlation because most of the people on this list, and I tried to take a sample of people, were either neutral, positive, and we've got a couple of we've got like 2 boulder washers on this. Realistically, if you betrayed Nick or if you were loyal to Nick, it made no fucking difference. So when he says things like, they were so boring without me, there'll be nobody, I made them, those sort of things, it just doesn't match up with the numbers. Unfortunately, it just doesn't. All right, the King of Late Night is back, baby. So let's see Karen Read trial. Let's take a closer look at the Karen Read trial because Nick's channel was always a law channel, unless you listen to what he says. All right, so let's take, oh yeah, I forgot about this. I forgot about this. The first day he came back, he decided for some reason, actually, I think I know the reason. So people have speculated why he had the creepy AI faces. So Nick had AI trial things, and I think what happened here, let me just show you what this is. So in YouTube's they've got a new tab in the YouTube channel thing, and it's called the inspiration tab. When you click on the inspiration tab, it gives you ideas for videos you can make. So it literally tries to do your work for you. So for example, if I go to my inspiration tab, I just want this to load up some thumbnails to show you. Okay. Oops. All right. So we go in here. So this is the inspiration tab on YouTube. And it says you should make a video about the rise in AI in film. That's a very funny suggestion, actually. So it gives you like an idea. It tells you how much interest there is. It gives you an outline of a script, and it also generates free thumbnails for you based off of what your previous thumbnails or your previous content is about. So what I think happened here is that Nick went to his dashboard. He saw this tool, and then he decided. Oh wait, I'm going to spoil this if I don't go back. Hold on, go to the spectacles. There we go. So this is what I think happened. This is my headcanon, is that Nick saw this tool and it had these pre-made thumbnails for him, and he's just like, you know what? I'll just take this. I'll just take this. It's like the laziest thing. These people look nothing like him. You know, these weird, like, uncanny valley. Like, this is Nick, and this is like, why would you even use this as a thumbnail? This is not a good thumbnail. You don't look happy. You look sad. You look disheveled. You look like the worst day ever is happening here. Day 2, it got a little bit different. You can see a little bit of difference. They're trying different things, okay? You've got a bigger Karen Read. You've got the RekietaLaw logo. Is that like Minnesota, I guess? The state of Minnesota on there? That's been removed. So you've got some evolution here. Now, on day 2, he started to get so much shit about his thumbnails on the farms that he decided to lean into the meme. And this has actually produced some funny results, okay? So this is day 3. And you know what? I think this is funny. I actually like this. Now, he stole this idea from Kurt, by the way. This is actually an uncivil law classic idea, and I'll prove it to you right now. If I go to Uncivil Law's channel, he's streaming the Karen Read right now. If I search for, I think it's Thursday Thunderdome. Thursday. Wait is it? Live Thursday. I know this is here somewhere. Okay, there it is. There it is. Okay. So if you go to Kurt's channel, there was a time, I don't think Kurt does it anymore, but he was making these AI like thumbnails, which are like he's like riding a bear or something. And he looks more like Alex Jones. This is a Kurt original idea. He's stealing Kurt. Oops, no, we're going too quick. There we go. slideshow. There we go. I literally think he stole this idea from Kurt. He did lean into the meme, and I kind of enjoy this. I like the eye patch on Branka, but unfortunately, this is a bit of a spoiler for day 5. Actually, is that Branka has now left the show. He's on to greener pastures, and this is the next thumbnail. This is the stream thumbnail for today. We've got the ghost of Branka because he's been abandoned. What the fuck is there? Like, wait a second, what's going on down here? What the fuck is this? wait a second. Did the AI load in some chick giving him a BJ while he's streaming? Is that what I'm seeing here? What is this person doing down here on Nick's crotch? Did he notice this? wait a second. Now wait a second. Is this April? I don't think that was intentional. I think that was a bit of an AI boo-boo, but it's very funny. It's very, very curious. What is this doing down here? What is this doing down here? Is that his wife? That'll be the first BJ that she's given him in a while. Anyway, let's get back into the game. All right. So this is the first 7 days of the Karen Read trial. Rittenhouse. Oh wait, we have to go back. We have to go back a little bit. So we're going to compare it to Nick's biggest streams. Day 1 of Rittenhouse, 136,000 views, which is actually not the biggest day. The biggest day in Rittenhouse was, I believe it was the jury deliberation day 1, and that was close to 1 million views, and that's a big hunk of change, not only in super chats but also in the YouTube Premium and the ad views. But the thing is, I have a theory that Nick isn't making that much from views because I don't think he knows how to correctly monetize his videos at the moment, because YouTube's monetization has changed during his hiatus. So we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe he'll like post some numbers to kind of to own the A-logs, but we don't know. Johnny Depp day 1, 363,000 live viewers. Oh, no, sorry, not live viewers. This is total views. But he did have over 100,000 live views on one of these streams. Best day of Johnny Depp, 1.1 million views, which that's pretty good. That's pretty good. The best views for day 1 so far. The best and first and best day, Karen Read, 50,000. It's not looking good. It's not looking good, bros, I'm afraid. And what's worse, it's getting worse. I've been tracking the numbers. You can see his return stream, 60,000. The day after, not looking good. 20,000 live viewers. That's like half of what Kurt got yesterday on a Sunday. Not looking too good. Day 1 of Karen Read was 50,000, which is pretty good. People were excited to see what the first trial stream back was. They're encouraging him, and I think this is I think what's happening with a lot of people is that a lot of people want to see Nick succeed, and that's fine, I guess, if you do want that. I disagree with it, but that's me. But they're kind of giving more money on the first day back to kind of encourage him, to give him like it's his first dog treat back, basically. And we see here 33 on the second day, 21 on day 3, and 26 on Friday. Now, will these numbers hold out? To be fair, Nick's best days in the previous trials were the jury deliberation days, so maybe they'll be better, but we'll have to wait and see. So far, yeah, it's a bear market. I'm not sure about buying Rekieta coin right now. Energy King says that's me in the thumbnail. Very, very, very cool, Energy King. Thank you for the 2. Let's talk about the money, okay? The money. That's what people care about. It's the money. Rekieta so far from the Karen Read trial in 1 week has earned $1,500, which averages out to about $377 per day, which is not bad for streaming. Unfortunately, Nick spends allegedly he spends about $3,000 on snacks a week. His he said his own medical costs were like for medicine, which maybe his entire family, I'm not sure, was $2,800 a month. So while this is good for streaming, it's not good if you've got a family of 5. Now, remember, chat, Nick does have a superpower. Does anyone remember his superpower? Let's see. I'm going to give the chat like a couple seconds to catch up, and we'll see if you remember that Nick's going to be fine. Okay, Nick's going to be fine because he has a superpower. Let's see if anyone in the chat gets it. Medicine. True. That's a lot of pro vigil. Yeah, he's rich. He's got a trust fund, but maybe not for long because there was a bit of an interesting leak. Anyway, we'll get into that. So the trial coverage breaks down like this day after day. I did average it out. It averages out to about $377 a day. The first day, $700. Excellent. Okay, that's a great, maybe for a stream, 1 day streaming, that's great. Then $300, $200, $200. I think that the Baldo washers, the Baldo brigaders, I think they're running out of money. I think that they've maxed out their credit cards. Maybe next month, maybe after they get the next paycheck, they can pump up these numbers. But this 1,500s, well, it seems like maybe okay for a week, for supporting 7 people, or 8 people if you include April. Well, anyway, not sure it's gonna be enough for a single guy. This would be okay, maybe. Let's have a look at Melanie Nissel. She's earned $5,000, or an average of $1,200 a day. Ooh, that's spicy. That's nice. Emily DeBaker, $2,000, or an average of $555. Sorry, 45. I'm a little bit dyslexic. Andrea Burkhart, $1,700, beating Nick, $400 a day on average. And Fat Sean. Now I had to check, because I had to ask Sean, because Sean gets more memberships than anything. He doesn't get as much super chats, but he gets a lot of memberships. So I DM'd Sean in particular and asked him how much he made, and he made $1,400 thus far of the first 4 days, which averages out to just $20 less than Nick's making a day. So if you want to go and give Sean a $20 super chat, you will actually be helping him beat Nick on the numbers a day. So, for all of his seething about how Sean is the sandwich man, Sean is just $25 behind him. And how many subscribers does Sean have? Doesn't Sean have 30,000 subscribers or something? Nick has 400,000. I can't remember how many Sean. I think he's got 30,000. All right. Day 5 of Karen Read. Unfortunately, Scarebro posted this today. Day 5 ain't looking so good. This is where we are now. We've reached up in the timeline. We're now where we are. So he's 25. So he's got a channel with 25,000 people, and he's making the same as a guy with 400,000. I don't feel so good, Baldo bros. People try to give me shit. They're on Twitter, saying he's seething about it's not a failure. Look, Nick's doing fine if he was a singles guy or a small channel, but he's not doing good compared to his actual earning potential if he just didn't do coke, or if he just was loyal to his audience. Anyway, Scarebro posted out today, Andrew Branca of Law of Self-Defense has abandoned coverage of the second Karen Read trial with RekietaLaw, choosing to cover the Chris Shaw trial. This comes a business day after Nick was late to a stream, blaming oversleeping, and Branca being criticized for streaming with an admitted felon. Now, Branca is very loyal to his friend, and he said, you know what? I said Nick could come with me. So there you go, Nick. There you go. If only you knew how bad things really were. So that's the option. This is the conclusion of my PowerPoint, is that, Nick, he's a small streamer. He needs to get out there and go on some panel shows. He needs to get out there. He has to ask Emily DeBaker. He's can I come on your panel? He needs to ask Andrea Burkhart. He needs to ask Branca, hey, can I be the second chair on your show? I'm just a little guy and I need to get my name out there. He needs to go out there and do some groundwork, do some free hours on some shows, and then maybe he'll get a bigger show. I think that's the way it works. So, if he puts in the work, though, maybe he could recover. We'll see. I think that's the end of my presentation, which means we're going to go into some clips. But if you like that PP, be sure to give me a like in the chat, okay? Oh, and yes, we got to do this here. So this is the alternative day 5. The alternative day 5 was very funny. I stole this from the farms just before the stream started. That is the alternative day 5 with the Branca missing. He went with the goat. He went with the ghost. The ghost, not the goat. I think this would have been funnier. I think Nick does have a sense of humor putting the ghost Branca in there, but I think it would have been much better if he'd actually used the one that was actually on the farms, because this is just hilarious with this ceiling cat. Very cool. Very cool. Alrighty. So this is the sentencing document. And I know some of you have already seen it, okay? But I want to read a portion of it, which is very funny, okay? And what do we have here as well? What is this? Oh, let me play this. Oh, no, wait. No, I'll play this clip right now. Let's see what it says.
Okay. Well, man, should we wrap up?
Let's go
close
ahead.
this thing out?
Thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been a great time.
This is from day 4.
Of course, I'm attorney Andrew Branca for Law of Self-Defense. We have Nick Rekieta here from RekietaLaw, and we'll be covering the Karen Read trial throughout, which I guess will be back on Monday. And hang out for a minute after I shut out. Nick, I got a couple questions for you. And that said, until we meet again, stay safe.
Hey, Nick. Hey Nick, can you hang out for 1 minute after we close out the show? All right, Nick, I'm afraid you're fired. I'm out. This is bullshit. I'm out of here. It's just not happening. You can come on my show if you want. You can stream with me, but I'm out of here, bro. Look, here's the reality: is that I think Branko's a smart guy. He knows not to waste his time where it's like being wasted. And he saw another opportunity and he took it. I think he was probably, he gave Nick the opportunity to come along with him, but he was like, look, Nick, and this is what I think happened in this conversation. You showed up late. You overslept. You made me set up the stream. I kept the stream going because I watched a little bit of the day. I think it was day 4. I think maybe day 3, day 4. I don't really know. He just didn't show up. He didn't show up to fucking work. He's on probation. He's on probation. He didn't show up to fucking work. He's like, oh man, I was so sleepy last night. Oh, just so sleepy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So I think that Branko gave him a little talking to and basically told him to get his fucking act together because his performance is embarrassing. And if your friends don't look good, you don't look good. It's embarrassing to be to have a guy that you put a lot in with an unpopular character and then he doesn't even bother to show up. He sleeps in, hungover, perhaps. Who knows? All right. Anyway. So in the pre-sentence, this is the sentencing transcript. So let me see. Let me see. Where do I want to read from? I think that I won't read the whole thing. I just want to read a portion of it. Specifically, I want to read the part where Nick talks on the thing. Also, very funny is that Nick's lawyer is Mr. White, and it's a drug charge, which is kind of funny. So here we go. Here we go. This is where I'm looking at. So the judge basically says that he's on the fence. He's like, I could go either way about this. So he's like, all right, Mr. Rekieta, your position here today, you have the right to provide a statement. You don't have to, but it's your right to provide a statement if you wish to. And Nick says, yes, Your Honor, I would love to. First of all, I would love to give a statement. I don't know about that. I'm not sure he's loving it. Are you loving it, chat? But the judge was like, he literally was like, I don't know. Should I give this guy jail time? I don't know. Like it says here. Although it wasn't in the petition or mentioned in the record, that's the state's recommendation. Oh, wait, no, that's not the part. It's a little bit higher than that. But he says like he's on the fence, right? So Nick comes out with this banger of an opening. Nick is a writing major. Remember that? This is his banger of a, this is the speech to keep him out of jail. Your Honor, I've always been called a smart by my mentors, by my teachers, by my community members who I've associated with. And after a while of making decisions that end up very, very well, you start to think that maybe you are kind of smart and that you can control something, control the decisions that make you and how that will impact people. This is actually very true, by the way, that when you have an advantage, like when you've got a trust fund, for example, you start to believe that all of your decisions are just you being smarter than other people. And there's a monopoly test that people did to prove this, which is a very fun little study where basically they made it so that there was people were playing Monopoly and half of the players or a couple of players in the game, they would start with double the money than everyone else. And when they went around the board and went past go, they got $400 instead of $200. And then they interviewed them after and they always won. Like everyone that had the money advantage always won because Monopoly is not a very good game. But then they interviewed them afterwards and they asked them, like, what was the contributing factor to your victory? And they said, they're like, the money made a little bit of a difference, but ultimately it was my decisions that made me win because I was a better player. And this is what people always think. So when Nick's got his trust fund that's propping up his entire lifestyle, that's paying for his 2 mortgages and his 5 kids and all of his night school to go to law school, he starts to think, I just made good decisions. Like, why is everyone so stupid? Why don't they just have 2 houses and free education while supporting 5 kids like I did? Okay, I'm just smart. I'm just better than you. But people absolutely believe this when everything works out for them and people tell you smart and they suck you off, basically. You absolutely believe that you're like the hottest thing on earth. So that's why it's good to humble people from time to time. Anyway, he continues that you start to think that you can make decisions that will impact people. You can do things safely that aren't safe. What I did put my children... Oh, wait a minute. What I did put my children through something that I can never undo as a result of my decisions, not the decisions of anyone else. I thought there was no other victims. Interesting. In the pre-sentencing investigation, it laid out the circumstances that I feel led up to what happened. But at the end of the day, it was me literally holding the bag. He's a bag holder. If you're a Rekieta coin, you're holding the bag. It was my choices. And it's my consequences are born from these people around me as much as they are by me. I have to spend a lot of time working to repair that. I have broken the trust with community members, with family members, with my wife, with my girlfriend. And I didn't say that. And with my children. And the decisions I made, for all that I want to say to the court, the community, and them is, I'm very, very sorry. Can we see some so sorries in the chat? The court responds, all right, well, a couple of things, Mr. Rekieta. There's a difference between being smart and wise. And you have, you know, in your past, a lot of things going for you. You had it all. The judge is literally telling him, you're not so fucking smart, kiddo. You know, you have a very solid education, solid degrees, a good family, a good career, and you jeopardized pretty much everything here for a taste of April's snatch and cocaine by your choices, which were completely unwise. And you know better, as you know your history in the legal field of how much you put yourself in jeopardy and your family in jeopardy by your decisions here. You know this is severe, or it's a serious offense in terms of public safety and community safety. This involves the, you know, possession of cocaine. You know, it furthers the drug trade, the illegal drug trade in this case, by your involvement in it. And it wasn't residue or a small amount. So it is concerning to the court here. And anyway, he goes on, and they asked for reduced sentencing. They asked for reduced probation. Oh, wait, there's actually there's actually something funnier in here. I got to keep reading. I'm sorry. I'm going to just read the rest of what the judge says, but it's actually very funny. I almost missed out on it. On the other hand, the state, you know, is in a good position to review and determine how things have progressed through your pretrial conduct and determine that, number one, you know, allowing for this plea to the third degree is appropriate and the stay of adjudication. Number two, you have made substantial changes since the time of the incident and warrant the state not recommending an additional jail. I was on the fence a bit about that when reviewing it and whether or not I'd be ordering that additional jail. He was this fucking close. He's so lucky that they were nice to him. Doesn't sound like there's a conspiracy against him at all. I'm going to instead order it with a deferral because there are some additional, you know, requirements that the court looks at other than just rehabilitation. The court, you know, is in task with that, as well as looks at the public protection, deterrence, and public condemnation of the criminal conduct, and that from sentencing guidelines and part of the factors that the court looks at when it determines, you know, the sentences. This will be a deferrable term. That means that you don't have to serve it so long as you're compliant with probation. If you're a good boy, get on your knees and pray to that probation officer. But it's another incentive for you to make sure that you're following, you know, the pretrial path, which you're indicating that you've followed since the incident. I don't agree with this, but that's nice of him to say. All right, this is how the court will proceed. You entered a plea of guilty on the count 1, third-degree possession. This is a felony offense, and I know, and when I note the length of the probation too, you know, I agree that it's up to 5 years is appropriate. So he got the maximum. This is exactly the maximum that was in the pre-sentencing investigation. This is a serious offense. It is a D6 offense. Well, unfortunately, Nick, I was going to make a dungeon. No, I won't do it. I won't make a nerdy Dungeons and Dragons joke about D6s. You know, right now, it does recognize that you don't have any priors within this contemplated length of probation. You know, the reality is a probationary period is a maximum sentence of up to 20 years. It was just recently modified pursuant to Minnesota Statute 609.10135 to 5 years. So he got lucky fucking again. Although there's no clear case that discusses whether stays adjudication would apply to this, which discusses the imposition, I do believe it's appropriate to follow through with that. So he gets the 5 year. He gets 5 years. All right. So the maximum penalty is 20 years and a $250,000 fine. This is a severity level D6 offense. You have no criminal history score of 0. Presumptive guidelines calls for a stay commitment over a period of 21 months. At the time, the court will not enter conviction. Instead, the state will, or the court will stay adjudication and place you on probation for a period of 5 years. Here are the conditions: that you serve 30 days in jail with credit for 2 days served. You commence the remaining on 28 days on August 1st. August 1st, Minnesota. No, the diners are coming. Don't worry about it, guys. Not tonight, though. Which can be deferred as long as you are complying with your probation conditions. You are ordered to complete 80 hours of community service. Now, this is very funny because they could have given him a fine, but they decided that they knew that he was rich. They knew that he had a trust fund. So they're like, you know what? You can't just pay your way out of this. You have to go and work. And they say, like, I think it's in the rest of the document. It's very funny that they actually want him to go out there and make friends because he's got no friends. Except for the loyal Bordeaux liquors. You're ordered to follow the recommendations of your discharge from Divine Hope Counseling dated September 11th. Oh my goodness, never forget. You're not to have any use of possession of alcohol or mood-altering chemicals except as prescribed. So no more whippets, although he's probably still doing them right now. And submit to random drug tests and alcohol testing as directed by probation. I'm going to indicate that probation should obtain a baseline as early as possible. You are being on pre-trial release, so I want you to have a baseline test so there's no, no argument or indication that, you may be positive for something, that occurred prior to sentencing. Okay. All right, let me see. I want to see the part. There's one more part I want to see. So he says he has to remain law-abiding. He has to be a good boy. He's not allowed any firearms, ammunition, explosives, or dangerous weapons. So I guess that includes knives. So he can't actually even have the knife. He has to bend that knife and get a life. And he can't stab families of raccoons in his barn anymore. That's unfortunate. You must obtain permission from the probation officer if you want to leave the state. And he's going to be leaving the state, by the way. We'll have a brief interlude. We don't need the brief for Barnes thing anymore. We don't need that anymore. We need this one. Here's a little clip from Hackamania, a Melton show, whatever.
There's still time to get your tickets.
All right. First of all, I have to point this out. Moody, he needs to learn how to use a fucking gun. He scoped himself. Like, people are like, what is this? That is like, is that a scope? That's a scoping, right? I think he's like, oh, I was up in the Y Rapper hunting some deer, and I was holding the rifle, but I don't know how to hold it, and bang, and then the scope goes into, it's a scoping accident. I recognize those when I see them because I have handled some firearms myself, which is something that Nick can't do for the next 5 years. But anyway, let's see what they're going to say.
Come on out. Here's what I've been told, and I'll just tease this. Nick Rekieta is willing to, I guess we have to do this in a hotel room, which makes it even more erotic. Nick Rekieta says we'll do a tell-all.
Cum tasting event?
Ask Nick anything, and he will not hold back and tell everything. But
shit.
It cannot be recorded, and everybody has to like drop their phones at the door and everything. And you're allowed to go out and tell anybody anything he said, but he will deny it all. But he'll tell you anything you want to know. And I think that could be
real?
really fun. Yes.
Oh fuck,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So maybe like Thursday night, I'm thinking, like after our high roller dinner or whatever, before our Tukey's 1 a.m. White Castle.
So if you go to Hackamania, you can go to a mysterious hotel room where they're going to check your phones at the door, and then you can ask Nick anything, and possibly it's going to be a gangbang. We don't know. Like, first of all, somebody's going to record this. You got to check your phones at the door. Are they going to do they have metal detectors? This is the stupidest idea that I've ever heard, and Nick is absolutely going to incriminate him if he does anything of the sorts. So this is just like, that's just ridiculous. That's just absolutely ridiculous. So he has to obtain permission from his probation officer to go down to Vegas to party with those bozos, and then they're going to go to a mysterious hotel room, and they really promise they won't record him. The guys that have illegal access to Aaron's emails and were sharing it around their Discord, yeah, they would never do any gay ops on Nick. Then it's Year of the Snake. You can definitely trust this crew. These are your friends. These are the good people out there. So I guess the season 2 of Nick Rekieta's journey is going to be very entertaining because it's off to a terrible start. And this is so stupid because, like, there's going to be A-logs there. Like, they're going to be trying to slip things in his drink. They're going to be like, oh, giving him shots and like, oh, here, hold this, and then trying to snap a photo and stuff. This is the biggest fucking setup that I've ever heard of. And Nick wants to do this. Why would you risk your family that you allegedly love and your children that you allegedly care for? When Aaron isn't cooking food for them, at least. Why would you risk all of that to go party and just talk about Aaron? Because he's fucking obsessed with Aaron. It's the stupidest fucking idea, and it's going to backfire. And the fact that he wants to do that proves that he just doesn't give a shit. But anyway, good luck. I mean, have fun, I guess, if you're free to make your own mistakes, right? Let me see. Sorry. Another condition, he must cooperate with the search of his person, residence, or vehicle or property, any place, and things as described by probation, signed releases, and statements which are directed. So anytime the cops pull him over because he's speeding down the road in his Mustang, well, I guess he can't actually speed anymore because he doesn't want to do anything naughty. They can ask to see inside his car and just check everything. They can literally strip search him and do whatever they want. Okay, you just have to do whatever you want if they want to do. Okay, and if you say no, they ring up the probation officer and they say Nick Rekieta is not complying, and then buddy, that's not going to be good. That's not going to be good. Let me see. There's an amusing part here I want to read as well about where does it say the pro-social thing? That's like funny. Let me see. Maybe I went past that in the thing. I must have gone past it. Can I search this? Let me have a quick look. Let me just have a quick look at this. Is kind of funny. Also, did anyone check the farms to see if Minnesota Public Records actually dropped something today? Because Nick is streaming, I believe. Let me see. Where was that? Where was that in the document? I figured it would be here, right? He has to go to counseling, complete 80 hours of service. I'm not going to spend all day looking for this. I'll go to the next thing in a second. I just want to see if I can find it. Because basically they also sentenced him to thinking classes. He has to sit in a class and learn how to think again because he's so fucking dumb and wet-brained that he needs to go and have government-mandated thinking classes, which is very funny. But one of the things they say in this as well, which is what I'm looking for, but I can't seem to find, is that that they literally want him to do community service because they want him to be in a pro-social environment. So it's government-mandated friendship classes. Stream snipe. I'm not going to stream snipe Nick tonight, but I might do the Karen Read trial after this if people are interested in it. Which is very funny. It's very funny. The government admits that he has no friends and he needs some friendships in his life. Otherwise, he might relapse again. All right, we'll move on to the next thing. All right, let me see what this. Got a couple of clips here from Nicky Boy. Let's see what he's saying. This is from Alyssa Clips. Make sure you like the video. Make sure to like this one as well. Drinkers and drivers in St. Cloud. Who could he be talking about? With Branca. Oops, this is muted, I think. Is it muted? Oh, I must have hit that. There we go.
Romo Drummer says, don't drink out, drink at home. Nicholas Pope Rekieta 2025. Yes, don't drink out because some people will get in a car and drive.
Like Nick, when he streams all night. Well, the old Nick, right? It's on his new life, new me. Where is it? New year, new me. Nick would literally drink all night and then he would drive his kids to school. So this is fucking rich.
Holy shit. I went so long in my life without watching anybody drunk drive. And then
so clearly his car doesn't have a rear view mirror because you can't see himself doing this.
In the past year, I saw, or not in the past year, I guess it was about, it would have been about December and January, December of 23 and January of 24. I saw one person drive drunk so many times. I was just so fucking confused as to why they kept doing it.
Why did you do it, Nick?
And made sure to stay well away from that person's car while they were driving under the influence. It blew my mind, though. I was just like, you're just casually just driving drunk all over St. Cloud, Minnesota. What the fuck are you doing? It was.
Is Nick literally having like a Fight Club like schizo moment or something where he's got two different personalities? Is Aaron just his alternate personality, and that's why he's always talking about Aaron? I'm kind of curious. Rocky doesn't seem very interested in this, by the way. Nico with 4 months says, I'm trying to catch up, so sorry for recovered, but Branca's already dumped Nick. Yep, he's abandoned ship. He's streaming on a different trial this week. Yep, he is. Scarebro with a 5 says, a cognitive skills course, basically for low IQ individuals who can't imagine what it's like to not have breakfast, but Nick needs therapy for narcissism. Yeah, they're going to go into, Nick's going to go into these classes, government mandated thinking classes, and they're going to put out like a plate with a marshmallow on it, and they're going to say, look, Nick, would you like to have this marshmallow today? Or next time we can give you the second marshmallow. What's it going to be, buddy? Think about it before. It sounds like an easy choice, but you can have a marshmallow right now. Just have a think about it. What if he fails the test too? That'll be embarrassing. That'd be very funny. Very, very funny. All right, what do we got here? This is a very fun one. This is from Matt at the Internet, Josh Moon Show. Matty, the Rekieta segment, return of streaming, shower texts. Oh my. And site violations. This is going to be very rich.
Okay, let's talk about Rekieta
a bit
just
quiet.
a little bit. Unfortunately, PvP and Andy Worski, they can make an 8-hour stream out of anything. I swear to God, because they just watch the stream and they have to pause it every 30 seconds to
Look, if you pause things all the time, it's very easy to have an 8-hour stream. Whenever I go through a 10-minute video, it takes me 40 minutes.
Correct the record on the fly. I don't have that in me. I like to watch something that's 3 hours long, take a time step out of it, and then just be like, look, this is the best part of the whole fucking video, and it sums it all up. So I'm doing that again. Rekieta put out a video as his first stream back. And this first stream has set the stage for absolute catastrophic failure. Okay.
It has.
This is the one part that I want to clip. It's a 4.5 hour long stream, but I feel like this actually summarizes everything perfectly. You ready?
What's funny?
By the way, I have an update in the day 5 coverage of Karen Read. Nick has dropped below 2,000 subscribers. He's down to 1,900 subscribers, which is literally less than half of what Kurt had on a Sunday. So the trend continues. It's getting worse, and it's never been this over. So that's a fun little update from Nick's show right now.
What is legitimately comical about some of the criticism? There's a bunch to legitimately criticize me for.
Yes, there
Again,
is.
I made a bunch of bad decisions.
Oh, also, sorry. So this tweet, when I read this tweet, I get brain damage. So Steel Toes tweeted out in response to, I think, Nick, saying, I do know not to give my daughter cocaine. That's got to count for something. Luckily, my daughter just said no when you left it out for her, in response to when Nick dropped a cocaine bullet in front of his 3-year-old daughter. Nick responded saying, you asked your daughter if she wanted cocaine and she refused. Weird flex. Am I having a stroke? How do you infer that Aaron suggested that he offered his daughter cocaine? He says, luckily, my daughter just said no when you left it out. I don't know how you read this. Like, am I just stupid? Do I need government mandated thinking classes too? Because there is nothing in this tweet that implies that Aaron asked if his daughter wanted cocaine. It's kind of weird. It's a very strange thing to think, but I saw this tweet go out when I was doing something else. I wasn't playing dinosaur games, but I was doing something else, and I saw this tweet go out, and I was like, wait a minute, isn't Nick streaming right now? And then I saw it was like 10 minutes old, right? So I went back in Nick's stream 10 minutes when he was allegedly watching the Karen Read trial. He was using his phone. So when he's pretending to doing trial coverage, he's literally reading Aaron's tweets and trying to come up with zingers. And you can actually see the timestamp where he's like, he throws the banger out and he smiles to himself. He's like, that was a good one. This is oh my God, this is the actual like wet brain logic. I don't know, but it's very funny to think that he's just like doing anything other than paying attention to the stream and pretending that I love trial streams, but he doesn't. Anyway, sorry to interrupt this. I'm not going to be too much pausing. No, there's going to be more.
I made some really fun decisions, but I made a bunch of bad decisions, and
I made a really fun decisions.
Deserve some criticism on all of it.
This is where I gave up. I stopped watching the stream after he said this because I was sick of him. But this is what really caps off his new mood. And I can best summarize this as he has not learned a single fucking thing, and he takes no accountability for his actions. If he tries to indicate otherwise, he is being facetious or duplicitous, because he does not. Every single time he even comes close to admitting fault, he has to put an asterisk next to it and try to own the A-logs. Like, sure, I went off and did some goofy stuff and I had a ton of fun doing it, but now there's consequences to that. Note what he's not saying. He's not saying I f***ed up. I made bad decisions that I regret, and I do not want to do them again. I don't want to make the same mistakes again. He's saying I made some bad decisions under contemporaneous wisdom and logic, under how most people would think. But you know what? I sure did have a blast, and I learned a whole lot while doing it. And like, that's not an apology. That's not a lesson learned. And he's still smug. He's still shitting on the justice system. He's literally. And he messaged me, by the way, for something I'll explain in a second. And I told them to this in the message, because when he messages me, what I do is I just ignore all the bullshit and I just respond to the one thing that I actually want to address. And I drew this comparison. I remember watching a video about drug addiction and specifically the fentanyl epidemic. And I learned that there are people that keep methadone on them at all times, so that if they see somebody dying of fentanyl, they can hit them with the methadone, which stops the processing, the metabolizing of opioids, if I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what happened. And then it will wake them up. It will stop an overdose. So this is like a thing that exists. And
I get to the point, Josh.
I remember
I wanna
talking
hear
to
the
somebody
text,
who
but
worked
okay.
in medicine about this. I'm like, what do you think about people that carry methadone? Narcan, sorry, not methadone, Narcan. Narcan is what wakes up the sleepy fentanyl zombies. And he said that he would never carry Narcan on him and he would never use it to save somebody's life. And I thought that's weird. Like, I understand not wanting to, not having a lot of sympathies for drug addicts. I can understand not carrying it, but like, not if you had it, why wouldn't you use it? And he said, when you wakes up a fentanyl zombie with Narcan, he gets angry with you immediately. He's close to dying because the opioids are murdering him. But it's the best high he's ever had in his entire life. He's in a world of bliss, sandwiched between two velvet blankets on the most comfortable down furnishings you could ever imagine, floating in the sky at a perfect 72 degrees with the sun kissing his skin. He's in the best mindset he could ever possibly have, even though he's on the verge of death. And if you hit him with the Narcan, he wakes up from that, and he's a homeless man in pain on the street, and he gets violent and angry with you. And while watching Rekieta talk about his experience with the justice system, I was reminded a lot of this conversation, and I'm thinking, like, the way he talks about how much fun he had and how he made some silly decisions, but oh my God, it was so fun. I'm like, you're a drug addict whose buzz got killed. You're not concerned about the custody of your children. You're not concerned about what damage you did to your family or your life. You're upset that someone shook you up and got you awake and on your feet again because you killed your buzz. And it's like,
I think everyone kind of notices, by the way. Like, Nick's just not sorry that he was caught. Sorry, he's not sorry that he did anything wrong. He's only sorry that he got caught. That's the only bad thing that's happened. It's the government's fault again. It's somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's fault.
I'm like, you're this guy right here. He's the same exact guy that was jerking off to Anime Sucks, Cope and Sneed's Fat Dragons like a year ago. He's the same exact person. Has not changed, has not learned anything. He might be a little bit more careful moving forward, but there is 0% chance. There's not a fucking chance in hell that this guy is going to make it through 5 years of probation without fucking up again. Because in his mind, he's done nothing wrong except get caught. And it's actually the system's fault that they treat people like this, because he was just having a good time in his own house. And
all right, tell me about the shower text. That's what I want.
that's why,
to be honest, I didn't mean to play this first 5 minutes.
They're picking out like a bunch of timestamps. I don't want to go line by line and listen to him fucking smugly preen about how he got away with it in his mind. It's like, because I don't.
That's actually really funny though. I didn't remember that part. I got away with it in my mind. It was real in my mind, guys. Just like just like what's his name? Barnes. Nick has already won in my mind.
Have to. I don't have to epically own him line by line, because watch, set your fucking clocks. You got 5 years on this shit. You can make your own determinations, but I give him maybe 2 or 3 years, because there's no way he's gonna, with this mindset, there's no fucking way that he's gonna make it through 5 years. So I told him, I said, I'll be vindicated again. You haven't learned shit. And
like, place your bets in the chat. How long do you think Nick will make it? I want to be positive. I want to think that he gets his life together and it all works together, but I don't think it's going to happen. But it'd be nice. It'd be nice.
And what he got upset about, by the way, was this: the Minnesota Public Records person dropped information that we didn't have, which was that someone had found that April was living in Wilmer, which is near where he lives. And it had been said publicly that April was gone, the cover was over, that she had moved away and they were no longer together. She's like 15 minutes away from where he lives. So there's no way that they're not seeing each other. And
yeah, like I'll interject here to say that I'm not going to say her address, but she lives near a very funny lake. Okay. It is very, very funny when you see, but yeah, she's 50 minutes away from Nick. And Nick is trying to be really smart, saying like, he's trying to do his smart boy plays where he's like, well, April's got a new boyfriend. Now, I'll break this down to you in Rekieta's logic. They broke up for a day and they got back together. So technically, Nick is the new boyfriend and he's not the old boyfriend. So she does technically have a new boyfriend, but it's just the same as the old one. That's how it works. That's why it's not a lie in Nick's mind, okay? It's not a lie if you believe it. But anyway, he goes on to say that he's very upset about this.
Because she moved out, Kayla may not know. So when he messages
I
me
think Josh
asking
is
me to
wrong
delete
here.
this post and ban Minnesota Public Records for stalking as like a site violation, I think it's because he's afraid that Kayla's going to find out that he's still with her.
I disagree. So Nick publicly, like, Nick hates Josh so much. For Nick to message Josh, either he thinks he's got an epic own, or he's got to be fucking desperate. Why would Kayla care? She shouldn't care about anything that isn't taking place in the Delta Quadrant anyway. Kayla doesn't care about the cover or whatever. I don't think this is what's happening. I think that Nick is afraid of this coming out, but not because he wants to protect April, and not because he's afraid of what his wife is going to say. I think, and I don't have any evidence of this, but this is my headcanon, that he's afraid of either his parents finding out or Kayla's parents finding out, because it may be a condition of his trust fund that they said, like, look, if you don't just fucking stick with your wife and raise your kids, we're taking away the money. Okay. Now the theory is that he gets a certain, like, maybe, like, let's say $1,000 a child every month. That's like 5,000. Cover all your expenses. We don't know. This is just like kind of a theory. We don't have any actual numbers, but I do believe this to be true. But if they threaten him to get his act together, and they said the condition of this is you can't have a second girlfriend. You have to be, you have to stick with your wife until the kids are all in college or whatever. They're all out of the house. Then you can get divorced or do whatever. Just stick together for the kids' sake and for propriety's sake, right? I think that's what Nick's afraid of. Okay, he's very afraid that the parents are going to find out, and either Kayla's parents are going to drop all this information, because Nick is saying that all of the information came from their deranged Kayla's family. That's what he's been saying on, I believe, Locals or whatever, or maybe it's just on Twitter. Or it's his own parents and they're just going to take away his money. The only thing he really cares about, because, if they take away his money, if they take away his trust fund, he's going to have to live off his stream numbers, which, as we've seen from tonight, don't quite add up to be enough.
And I said to him, he messaged me, by the way, Easter fucking Sunday.
Oh, this is kind of
on
crazy.
Easter fucking Sunday, he's in Signal telling me that I have to delete this post because it's a site violation or whatever the fuck. And I'm just like,
He thinks it's a site violation to remove someone's personal information from Kiwi Farms, which is basically like a phone book of people's personal information. Now, I think that sometimes there's too much information is posted, absolutely. But this is so fucking rich that he wanted to use Kiwi's Farms as his own personal army, as his own personal reservoir of information when he was going against Monica Rial and Jamie Markey and everything. And then when he got the ethics complaints, those were fraudulent ethics complaints, and those people should suffer from committing perjury. But he was going to dox these three people, these three random individuals that sent in bogus ethics complaints live on YouTube. So he's obviously okay with doxing. Like, he has no problem with that. But when it affects him, and Kiwi Farms is a fringe website. I mean, I love the Kiwis, but they are a fringe website. But actually more and more people are learning about it, which is quite interesting. It's getting more and more mainstream as we go out. But when it affects his life, suddenly things have to change. The audacity of him to expect a favor from Josh Moon after all of this is just hilarious. And that's why I think he's really desperate about his parents finding out about this. But just remember those 4 words, right? Well, actually, it's not. It's like, what is it, 6 words? I don't know. Your life, profit. My life, private. That's 6 words, right? I don't know.
are you not with your family at church? Are you not doing anything special today? He messaged me at like 1, like noon to 1, like exactly when somebody who with a family would be at church with their family on Easter.
So he's reading he's reading Kiwi Farms in church because it's so boring. Like, he used to be able to go out of church, do bumps as the people reported, but now the only thing they can get through church is reading those sweet Kiwi Farms threads.
Sunday, and I was dumbfounded by it. And I said something else. Not just that. He reminded. I told him the Narcan story. I called it methadone, so I was wrong. But Narcan. I told him stop cheating on your wife because I know that's why he was upset about that. He got caught again.
Sorry, that's a really good response.
Was this story based? Yes.
What a thing to say. He sends you a seething demand. I demand that you take down my girlfriend's photos from the farms. After she was a public figure on the Steel Toe Morning Show, she injected herself into online drama for money and profit. But now that it's not working in her favor, she wants to retreat. She wants to be left alone, okay? just because she's 50 minutes away and I can drive down to bang her on the way back from dropping off my kids for school. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And then he just responds. He's just like, stop fucking other women. Don't cheat on your wife. Actually based take.
And he said, I've never cheated on my wife. She always consented. And it's like in his
I got to mute my mic for a second because I'm going to have a coughing, laughing fit. I have never cheated on my wife. Holy shit. Like, did the cheating occur in like a parallel? Like, in Nick's opinion, did this happen in like the Berenstein universe or something? Like there's these two dimensions, right? Where there's like the Berenstein universe and the Bernstein universe, and he cheated on his wife in one of them. And he's like, the dimensional merge occurred, and he's just like, his brain is like from the other dimension. He's like, I never cheated on my. What are you talking about? This is crazy. Why does everyone hate me? Oh my goodness, the dimensional merge has a lot to answer for, but that is very funny.
his head, even the fucking polycule shit was still like just
It literally cucksplaining the internet.
His infidelity, you know, in the Bible, he says that he's I don't think he's religious anymore, but in the Bible it says that when two people get married, their souls join. You literally join, you fuse souls together, and you can't like consent to being cheated on in that context. I guess you can say in the liberal progressive concept of consent, then sure, that's fine. But for him, he shouldn't be okay with that. But he still maintains that it was all perfectly above board and shit. And honestly, it's down to me. It's like, because at that point he hadn't streamed. I'm just like, there's no way that he's still like this, that he's still this smug asshole. You know what he did? This was the weirdest part. I was driving at the time, so I didn't respond promptly.
This is good too.
To his messages, but he sent me a message after I told him do I even have this? Might have been too long ago. Oh, I only sent him one message, so it was all one message. And they sent me two messages in reply. I'm not going to read them verbatim, but I then replied to that saying, "Your contempt for my good advice has already been well established. But within the next 5 years, I will be vindicated a second time. You have no credibility, and I believe nothing you say." Because he was trying to persuade me of all this other shit, like how, you know, XYZ. And I'm like, I don't believe anything that you say, bro. You have no credibility. You lied to my face for years.
He's a liar that lies.
I simply have zero trust that anything that you say ever is true. And he didn't reply to this, or he did, but you know what he said?
This is really good.
You are a good person. And then he deleted this message. So I remember saying,
oh no, not the redacted message. Holy shit. That's like when you message a girl when you're drunk. Why don't we come over? And then you're like, oh shit, I better delete that. And then she like shows up. He's like, I saw it on my preview. Oh no. Oh no. What was he thinking? Was that a moment of clarity? Was that like some sort of manipulation? What was he thinking? You're a good person. Oh shit, delete. And then betrayed. The traitorous message preview. I love message preview is really funny because I have a friend that does this. They send me messages and then they delete them or like edit them. And I always have the preview. And sometimes I would try and respond to the preview and it disappears. And I just tell them, just don't fucking delete your messages. It's so frustrating. They just, I don't know why they're trying to do it, but like, that is so funny. He unsends the message, but they saw it on the preview. Oh no. Oh no.
it because it was a notification that popped up on my car's dashboard.
You're a
and
good
then
person.
if I look at it now, it says this message was deleted. So I don't know what kind of manipulation tactic that is to say you're a good person and then delete it. Like really bizarre behavior. Can only come from a brain completely scrambled like fucking eggs by drugs and alcohol. Really excited to see the next up from this retard. We'll see.
Should be fun. Should be fun to see.
So that's that.
All right. Is that the end of it? Or?
Segment.
Is there anything else that's left in here?
Because I was kind of moralizing to him a bit, and I think he was like, "Oh, you're such a good person," like eye-rolling sarcasm. But it's so silly. And then
what do you think? Do you think it was a moment of clarity? Press 1 for moment of clarity. Press 2 for he was trying to manipulate Josh in some way that only makes sense to his cheese brain.
Deletes it, like he doesn't even want that to be misinterpreted. Like I don't actually want him to think that he's a good person, or maybe he doesn't want me to think that he's salty or some shit. And it's just like I don't know what he wants.
Alrighty. What was this that I had? Let me see. All right, so this was some cope that Nick sent. So this was from the farms. Melty Butter. This was pretty good post, Melty Butter. Responding to Vibralder that says, it also proves without a shadow of a doubt that Nick's retarded. If you needed more evidence. He thinks all this time asking Null nicely will take down shit for him will actually work. Exactly. This is what Melty Butter responds to. I'm finding Nick's /Null signal chat issue mystifying for some of the most obvious reasons. First, from Nick's own words, doxing is not illegal, though a couple of states are close to making it so. Nick knows or should know that eventually the farms would have found out April was living in Wilmar. April is a local celebrity and is a high-profile case in which many locals are justifiably pay attention to. Hell, a nosy Karen could follow her home from Walmart and take some pictures of her car as a one-time thing. That's not stalking. There is no threat. Legally speaking, April is a public figure via the Steel Toe Morning Show. Several members of the SCOTUS have said, have had protesters on their front lawns with no arrests made because the SCOTUS members are public figures. I know I'm mangling the letters of the law here, but you get the point. 15 people could show up on a public property in front of April's house with sound screaming, side whore, get out, and it would be perfectly legal as long as they were peaceful. That's called free speech. Oh my goodness. He doesn't like free speech when it affects him. If April wanted to be a private person, she would have gone home to Litchfield. She didn't choose to remain in the eye of the storm. April is skilled with firearms through hunting and in the gun club range. She was also a member of her deleted Facebook. But there's evidence there. She's allowed to own firearms. Also, ring cams cost $100. The girl is fine. No one wants to see any harm to her, even with all the hyperbolic and humor posts in this thread. I've never seen anyone wish her physical harm. Recently, Nick has peddled to many of the Baldo washers and the Devilverse that April has a boyfriend, not Nick. Melton has said a few times. I was willing to entertain that until Nick DM'd Null to White Knight for her. It's almost as if Nick is doing April's bidding. I think this is exactly what happened here. The idea that he could get away with it is pretty outrageous. There you go. That was a good one. Also, I did want to say there was some more stream numbers I forgot to mention, but a couple other farms people had the same idea as me. Owlbear posted, just to reveal the current LawTube pecking order. Emily DeBaker has 19,000 live viewers. Attorney Melanie Little has 16,000 viewers. Court TV has 13,000 viewers. Andrea Burkhardt has 3,800 viewers. Nick has 2.6. Well, it was down to 1.9 at this moment. And Kurt has, come on, Kurt is doing his best, has 380 viewers. Well, he had a little bit more today. There was also another one that had the same idea as me. I want to give them credit. I didn't steal their idea, but I was planning to do this all along. But they were also looking at the numbers, which are very funny when you look at these in some different ways. And also, thank you very much for the $5. Sean, he says he's turned into Russell Greer and the other lol cows demanding stuff be deleted. And now he's talking about Stalker. No, enjoy Stalker. Sorry, what is it? Enjoy Prison Stalker, child, Sean. So let's see. So Nick, prior to his return, he was getting about 2,000 views a day. That's like his baseline for retention of like previous videos and previous streams and things like that. And you kind of get this kind of churn is that when you get enough videos or enough evergreen content, this is what happens. After his return, it jumped up to about 28,000. So it's about 10 times larger than just not doing anything. Legal Mindset, on the other hand, is getting 100,000 views a day, 270,000 views a day, 422,000 views a day, and 92,000 views. Looking good. Nate the Lawyer, 261,000 views a day. Bronca, 100,000 views a day. Kino Casino Clips with no new content was generating 73,000 views per day. That means that Nick working is less profitable than just people watching clips on on the Kino Casino clip channel after they've already watched it on the live show. Their passive clip retention is more profitable and more what's the word? More just more popular than Nick actually working. If you can call watching a trial working. And even Kurt himself had 18,000 views. Well, this is bumped up to about 70,000 views as of today. But I wanted to say, Daffodils, I saw your post, but I had the same idea. But we thought alike on this one. All right. Where do we want to go next for this? We got a steel toe clip, and we also have some other stuff. But I think I'm going to play a message from our sponsors. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back, and I will definitely wash my hands. But let's have a quick moment, a brief sponsor from Stoney's in Rockville, Minnesota. I'll be right back. Don't go.
Are you tired of drinking alone or worse, with boring people?
Hi Minnesota, I'm Meme McGill, and do you want to experience the kind of atmosphere where the drinks flow as freely as the gossip? Then come on down to Stoney's in Rockville, Minnesota. At Stoney's, we don't just serve drinks, we serve connections. Some legal, some not so much. Need a spot to discuss your latest scheme, or just want to unwind after a long day of avoiding responsibilities? Well then come on down to Stoney's where the drinks are cold and the secrets are spicier than our famous Ultimate Bloody Marys. Whether you're planning your next big hustle or just looking for a good time, Stoney's is the place to be. We've got pool tables, karaoke nights, and the only thing more colourful than our drinks is our clientele. Hey look, you didn't hear this from me, but did somebody say $2 cans on Thirsty Thursdays? Why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary? At Stoney's Bar, every night's a wild card, and the house always wins, unless you're buying the next round. Just remember that what happens at Stoney's stays at Stoney's. Well, that is until the next town hall meeting. Just check out all of our testimonials. Stoney's Bar, Rockville, Minnesota. Oh, I got back just in time. Perfect. Perfect. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So we have a Steel Toe clip. I'm going to like the video because there's Lissa clips posted this. He says, Steel Toe morning show on Minnesota Public Records, April's Darks and Kiwi Farms. Put this on 1.25 speed. And I'm going to make a new poll in the chat. And this will be an interesting poll. I'm actually curious. Okay, this is a real poll. Okay, so after I finish the Nick content, do we want to watch the Karen Read trial? Because I think it might be funny to drink whiskey and watch the Karen Read trial and pretend it's really hard, right? That's if you guys want to stick around for another 2 hours to cover the trial covers. How many of you will stick around and chat if I do that? If there's enough people, maybe I'll do it. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. You can definitely change my mind on this one. So let's see. Do you want to watch Karen Read next? And the thing is, we get to watch it. It's actually superior to watch it on replay because we can skip past all the breaks. Like starting the trial later, watching it on replay is actually superior content. Yes, no, and we'll put in there. Make sure you like this stream as well. Results say liked stream. So only vote yes if you actually will stick around. Okay, guys. This is a legally binding poll. We'll see what happens. All right, let's see what Steel Toe Aaron has to say. Actually, you know what? I'll say. Wait a minute. Isn't this like the Steel Toe heel? I actually do like this sign. He's got like the corrugated iron for like the boot, but I guess it's like the steel on the toe here, but this is like the Steel Soul Toe show. Wait, Steel Soul show? I don't know. I don't get it. Oh, it was muted. And it's still muted. It's double muted. It was muted on my Streamlabs and it was muted on my YouTube. All right.
Sean
Martin
said in a stream with Libertarian Podcast Review that MN Public Records has about 70 pages of documents waiting to drop. Any insight? Let me tell you something about
spicy.
Sean Martin. There was a boxer named Everett Bigfoot Martin or Charles Bigfoot Martin.
All right, let's see where this is going.
It makes me want to call Sean Bigfoot Martin. Let me tell you something about Sean Martin. That guy is fucking solid. That guy is a
what the fuck is he talking about?
You say anything to him, he doesn't say a word. Someone else says something to him, he doesn't say a word to you. So do I know that there's 70 pages of MN Public Records documents? Yes, I do know that. Do I know anything about them or have I heard anything from Sean? Not a goddamn word.
So this is what Sean has said. Now I didn't see any documents dropping tonight. I was expecting some. Maybe they could still drop. We don't know. Maybe they're going to come out tomorrow. I was hoping they'd drop live and that'd be a fun little spicy thing to happen.
Not a goddamn word. In fact, whenever Sean knows something, I go, it doesn't bother. I shouldn't even bother asking, should I? And he says, no, you shouldn't. I said, fair enough. I don't know what MN Public Records has, but MN Public Records does have, I guess, a shitload of material. Numero uno, John, and I think that's going to, because remember, he had like the Dear John moments and the other meltdowns while he was still coping with the drugs and the alcohol. Now, without the drugs and the alcohol to soften the blow, now that stuff comes out and he's sober. Oh, God, you guys didn't hear the biggest thing. Josh from Mad at the Internet, Kiwi Farms Josh. Nick texted Josh. Nick was texting him, and Nick was saying, take down that MN Public Records thing. I want you to take that down and delete it, the April address. And Josh is like, no, I'm not taking down MN Public Records thing. And Nick was like, no, you have to take it down. Blah, 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 and they got into this thing. And how can I say this? Josh told him, stop being unfaithful. And Josh literally just read him the riot act and gave him the dad speech that Nick doesn't get because he wasn't ever raised. He wasn't brought up. It's actually kind of
like, this is true. Like, Nick's dad is like willing to lie to the. To be honest, I would lie for my children as well. to the court, like, because fuck him. But like, Nick's dad lied to the court and said he had never seen his son intoxicated when he was a watcher of the show, which is very funny. But I think that it sounds like his dad doesn't really take a firm grasp with his children at this point in his life. It's a little bit sad because Nick needs a father figure. So it's good that Jenny Josh can be there to tell him to stop fucking around with other women. But the funny thing about this is Nick is just confirming that these docs are accurate. Like every time Nick gets angry and sees and copes and like messages people to take things down, he's just confirming that they're actually valid. So he's doing more damage. Anytime he takes an action, it just is worse for his case.
Tragic story when you get to know the guy. But he was never raised properly. He was never brought up. He was never taught how to be a man. It's unfortunate. That's why I always giggle when he was like, I think I could take Aaron. Dude, I'd fucking kill you. Just stop. Just stop saying things.
All right, I want to call out Aaron here. Just fucking fight Nick, okay? Stop talking about it. Either fight him or don't even talk about you could take him, okay? I want to see some fights. I want to see Nick versus Aaron. Nick says he's going to do it, so Aaron, you gotta fucking man up and fight Nick. This is the only way. Look, if Nick beats Aaron in the ring, we forgive all the cuckoldry. If Aaron beats Nick in the ring, he gets Nick's subscribers or something. I don't know. It has to happen. It just has to happen. Stop talking about it. Don't say you can take someone in the fight unless you're willing to actually take them in the ring, okay? They said that they can't do it because of FBI investigation or something. Bullshit. Just fight him. The FBI think it's not going to happen. Just fight him. Just fight him, Aaron. We need the drama, okay? We need to see it. Oh my goodness, it'd be so fucking good to see them fight in the ring.
We're gonna get you.
That'd be the best way to end this season.
You're gonna, if you even tried anything, you die. Stop. So he gave Josh a shower call and tried to get him to take down that address. Now, Nick has told this lie to the Onion crowd, and the Onion crowd is stupid, so they believe it, that April has a job and a boyfriend. Now, we also know that Nick lies about everything. So when Nick says something, you can...
I think we can actually see, like, if you go to... So hold on a second. I'll show you April's job. I actually know what it is. This is some private information that I'm going to share right now, so you can be prepared for this. All right. So we go to RekietaLaw. We check out his current. Oh, he got an extra 200 subscribers views. Okay, he's up to 2.1. So he's barely half of what Kurt got on a Sunday. Interesting.
I'm recording it in this.
Let's go to views. Here it is. Okay. So this is Nick's thumbnail. Okay. I'm not joking. This isn't been edited. This is on Nick's thumbnail. If we enhance this, you can actually see April's job right here. Okay. This is April doing her job right here. Okay. This is what she's doing for a job. And this is where, like, it's very strange of Nick to include this in the thumbnail. I can only assume he was too lazy to check it and he just assumed that the AI wouldn't betray him. But the AI was very funny, or Nick has actually got an actual presence of mind to actually make a funny joke. I don't know. So there you go.
Pretty much assume the opposite is true. So that means that he's still seeing her. He's still seeing her at that house. I mean, eyewitnesses, according to MN Public Records, have seen his vehicle there. And also, nobody had confirmed that this was a dox until Nick texted Josh to confirm it was an accurate dox. Just like they weren't sure we could confirm that his daughter tested positive for cocaine until he texted Josh and confirmed it. So he's kind of the dumbest guy who ever lived. But it's also, to me, confirmation that those two are still seeing each other, and Nick's worried he's going to get in a lot of trouble if that stays out there. So, I mean, when they started putting that address in his chat, he made it like subscribers only, then he made it members only, then he's like, I'm going to take the chat to local.
Well, that's another thing that happened. I forgot to mention. But he made his chat members only. I think he got enough shit for it on the farms that he turned it off, but that was very funny to think that he couldn't take the heat. He had to censor it. Fatty Caddy says, with a 2, we know Nick took Aaron's manhood many times. Very likely true.
Or whatever. Got bad. It got bad. So, needless to say, Josh did tell him to go fuck himself.
Good for Josh. That's very based.
Mr. Free Speech wanted Josh to take down a post because Nick knew it was going to fuck with his life. Well, here's my thing. And look, I used to be like, when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I was like Nick. Everything was everyone else's fault. But you grow up, you make mistakes, you fuck up, you acknowledge your fuck ups, and you realize I am where I'm at because of the totality of the decisions I've made, not anyone else. And with him, he's in this position of having to call Josh, and MN Public Records is releasing what they're releasing because he's made dog shit, asshole, terrible, evil human being decisions, and he's not repentant for them. So basically, this is MN Public Records' way of saying, you're going to learn. And so far, he hasn't learned.
You're going to learn today. I really want to know, like, who is this MN Public Records? Why are they so funny? But where are the documents? Where are tonight's documents? Come on, we need more content for the stream. Drop it right now. Do it. Maybe they're uploading them right now. We'll see. Maybe they'll come out tomorrow.
So he's going to take those 70 pages of documents that he has, and he's going to dole them out slowly until Nick learns. And if he doesn't learn, then he's got...
Oh, wait. Actually, I saw that somewhere. Hold on. Where did I have that picture? Hold on. Where did I have? I had this. I literally had this. Like, oh, yes. Here it is. I've got actual footage. I stole this from the farms as well. Here we are. I'm revealing that this is the reveal of Public Records. It's actually Sunny in the bathroom. It's the calls coming from inside the house. We now know that it is Save Sunny. Sunny's been working for us the whole time, releasing the documents. No, that's bad. I'm going to redact that. Someone delete that from the stream.
I'm guessing a dozen or so reveals coming down the road, plus whatever Public Records finds out in the meantime. 09 Canyon says, Josh, take stuff down if he's required to by law. It didn't work last time. Nick tried to tell him how to run his site. Not going to work now. Well, that's the other thing, Nick. Like, if you're going to keep calling this guy a piece of shit and an asshole and make fun of Kiwi Farms, why would they ever want to do anything nice for you? They never would, and they never should. Numero Uno says, Nick keeps claiming no one would have known about any of his sexual proclivities if Aaron hadn't said anything. Lamau, how do people believe this stuff? They want to.
True.
Nick, his whole life now is basically reacting to what I do. I create, I do things. He reacts to it. And now,
I mean, this is actually objectively true because even during Nick's job, he's responding to steel toe tweets. Because I know this because we saw him do it on live stream when he thought that he dropped that banger where he says, like, you ask your daughter, like, I don't know how does anyone read this and not have a stroke? Like, how do you assume it? Like, steel toe says, I do know not to give my daughter cocaine. Okay, that's got to count for something. Okay. Luckily, my daughter just said no when you left it out for her in regards to Nick dropping the coke on the chair. Okay, that makes sense. This makes sense. Then he says, you asked your daughter if she wanted cocaine and refused. Weird flex. How do you come to that conclusion? Nick is supposed to be a writing major, but he can't fucking read? I don't know about that. It's weird to me.
he has to just get whatever group of people he can believing this horseshit. Now, it says in court documents that people in the community were wary of the relationship that he was having with April and I. That relationship looked weird to people. So
yeah, because it was fucking weird and gross. I mean, you were licking each other's ears and stuff on screen. That's weird.
it's, I mean, you're doing streams in a hot tub. You're, we're parading all this stuff out in the community, out in public. I mean, Nick's the classic dipshit who can't see outside of his own self and realize that people know more than you think they do. Kids know more than you think they do. And I know that from what I heard from the CPS people, from what was said in those interviews. Definitely kids know more than what you think they do. And that,
yeah, this is just true. Like, even from a young age, when my parents did something like that they probably shouldn't be doing, you just know. A funny example that I had from my friend is that they were driving in the, like, this is when he was 5 years old. So he was 5 years old and they were driving past the liquor store and they went in to buy some beer and stuff. And then there was just a delivery. There was a delivery of all these crates of beer, like the moment they pulled up. And then the father went over, he grabbed a crate and just threw it in the back without paying. And then they just drove off without even entering the store. And then then he was like, he turned around to the kids and he was like, well, we actually agreed to pay yesterday for those. So we're just picking them up. And even as a 5-year-old, it was just fucking obvious that he was stealing. Like, nobody's going to fall for that because you just act differently when you're doing something you shouldn't do. It's obvious. Like, it's deviant behavior to what your regular actions. So of course kids notice these weird things because kids are very observant. They're smart. They learn by observation and repetition. Of course they notice these things. And that's what really makes this entire situation so sad, is that a lot of these like Nick has been teaching his kids that it's okay to have like a wife and a side piece. So his daughters are going to grow up thinking it's okay to be a side piece. His sons are going to be okay growing up thinking that it's okay to like fuck another man's wife. These are the values that he's imparting on his children. And as a man, like he literally used to say on stream that monogamy is the only environment you can raise a child, and all this swinging is bullshit. And that was one of the clips we used to play as an intro. It was like a 40-second intro as the hypocrisy. I might play it again when we go to the next segment.
was heartbreaking and a big time wake up call. Couldn't believe it wasn't one for him.
All right, actually, I got destroyed in the chat right now by Facts and Logic. Okay, but deviant behavior is Nick's regular actions. All right, that's actually true. You got me. All right. All right, so we're going to transition, chat, I think, at this point. We're going to transition to Court TV. We're going to try it out. We're going to drink whiskey, and we're going to watch Karen Read trial day 5. 20,000 people are watching it, so it must be entertaining. I didn't know anything about this case, but it actually seems kind of interesting. Like, they were reading the text messages, and it seems like she's crazy and unhinged. So I'm going to get myself a drink, and we're going to watch this in 1.25. We're going to catch up. We're an hour behind.
Turn right.
So we're going to go back, but we get to skip all of the breaks. So we're actually going to have the superior viewing experience. Oops, that's slow. That's slow, boy. 1.25 speed. And if anyone's watching on replay, could you please post the timestamp in the chat? Sorry, in the comments, and I'll pin your comment. So, like, say, Karen Read trial starts here, and I'll pin your comment tomorrow for that. All right, how about that? So Charlie, before we get to that, Charlie says what the study says. Did Aaron breed our wife? Well, I mean, I'm 100% certain that he nutted in her raw. Because Kayla had a mummy surgery where she couldn't have sex with Nick for 5 weeks. He said this live on stream. This is not private information. This is public information.